As one of the old boys of this community, I am honored to have this gigantic community back. This is all people from our community. We're so happy to all get out here. Shout outs to Mike Uyama and the committee for letting Kingdom Hearts back in. We're going to do Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix Critical Mode for you guys. We'll explain a little bit about what that is. By the way, sorry, my throat is like gone. But yeah, here we are, our first runner-up. We've actually split this game up into 3 chunks that'll be run by the top 3 runners of this game in the world. First right here, we've got Terizzle, who will be doing the first third, followed up by Biscuit047 on the left side of the couch. He'll be doing the middle part, and then Bloody Biscuits, the current world record holder for this category, will be our anchor, finishing it off. So with that, I think whenever the tech staff is ready, we can go ahead and get this started. And then we'll start explaining specifics about it. Yep. All right, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix Critical Mode will be starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hype!
Yeah!
All right, so yeah, as we said, this is Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix Critical Mode. I guess I'll first hand it off to Biscuit on the other side of the couch, the opposite side of the couch for me, if you want to explain a little bit about what Critical Mode is.
Well, Critical Mode is the hardest difficulty in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, which was originally exclusive only to Japan. That's why we are playing the Japanese version. The English version was only released recently over in the States, and that version is slower, so we are playing the PS2 version. Critical Mode, basically you do more damage than Standard and Proud, but less damage than Beginner. You also take far more damage, and your HP caps, so we're going to be like, basically have less HP by half than usual near the end of the game.
Right there, Riz got the strength struggle bat. It's pretty important, especially early on, to get as much strength as possible, as well as the entire run.
One of the general combat mechanics that kind of follows over from Kingdom Hearts 1, you're going to be seeing a lot more aerial attacks used, and that's because ground attacks, you can kind of see here, the recovery time for them is kind of bad, whereas aerial hits, as soon as you hit the ground, your animation is canceled, so the recovery time's a lot better. Also, Bloody, do you want to explain what was going on in that fight right there and what it means?
Believe it or not, the combos that he did right there is actually RNG manipulation for the next fight. This game doesn't really have, well, it uses multiple things such as like money count or experience and such to calculate RNG or luck. But basically we're manipulating the luck or the behavior of this Dusk right here with the combos that he did on Cypher. And what it's going to do is it's going to give us an attack that will knock Roxas out. And that's the fastest way to get past this fight. It's kind of what we call death abusing. There are a lot of moments, since we're on critical mode, we take more damage, so yeah. There's a lot of situations where it's more favorable to die because it's way faster.
Yes, and the combo we're going to do on this Dusk also carries over to the next Dusk. We're going to get the same pattern for both of them. It's completely predictable, basically, up until after the next Dusk fight.
Another very basic concept when you're in fights there. You might have noticed he wasn't actually finishing his combos. It wasn't because he was dropping them or because he's bad, although he is bad.
Can't deny that.
Doing the finishers there actually knocks the Dusk in particular very far away. So it's basically just trapping him in a combo, doing what we call 2 empty hits, then a single empty hit, and then a full combo to finish him off.
Yes, we don't have scan yet, so we kind of just have to know how many hits are going to kill it. You know, we can't just guess, or else we're never going to know.
Something that a lot of people might not know from their childhood, you only have to do one job on this day. A lot of people might remember like you had to get like a lot of money, and they spent a lot of time grinding this out, but in fact, you get 150 money exactly from the first Dusk, and in order to trigger the exit to day 3, all you need is 200 money, and finishing a job perfectly gets you 50 money, and the fastest and easiest way to do that is by doing mail delivery, so that's why Riz chose that one. There are other choices, they're just slower.
Yeah, shoutouts actually to Demon9 of mainly Zelda Wind Waker fame. Back in the day when I was one of like 3 people who ran this game, we would normally do, I guess, a safer route there that would take like about a second longer. And then like Demon9 came around, I guess about the most he played of this game, and dropped a video where he did it in 6.5 seconds right there. Just showed kind of a different route, how you went through everything. So, yeah, random little piece of knowledge.
Shoutouts to Demon for actually contributing to KH2 speedrunning somehow.
Yeah, and just to kind of iterate on that fact, there are going to be a lot of points throughout the run where they do things that only save, 1 second, 2 seconds, maybe only a half a second. But with such a long run, if you have multiple iterations of that, it adds up to being minutes by the end of it. So those tiny little optimizations, while they might seem like nothing in such a long run, actually add up really well.
All right, right here, Riz is getting the Dream Shield. Believe it or not, the shield, or the dream weapons in general, do not affect stats at all. They only affect what abilities you get, and shield is more favorable, mostly for things like item boost and combo boost early on. The big one towards the end at around level 25 or 26, I believe, you get the ability Once More. It allows you to survive combo hits at 1 HP. So later on, against certain bosses, that's going to be huge. So that's why we get shield.
Yes. He's about to do a menu right now, and one of the greatest benefits of critical mode is that you start off with a bunch of abilities that you normally wouldn't have on any other mode, so it kind of eases you into the beginning of the game. So we will have stuff like Finishing Plus, Reaction Boost, Draw, and of course we're not going to equip EXP0, that's the only one we don't equip, and that sets us up to have a pretty smooth beginning game. Not to say that we can't like die anywhere, so just like the Twilight Thorn, just a few hits can kill you.
Speaking of the Twilight Thorn, he's the first boss, and he's coming up right about now. He's pretty interesting. I would almost say he's like the boss, or probably the hardest part of the Roxas section in general.
So I'm gonna let my friend Spike do this part. He's good at it. He knows this part.
He knows this part.
He practices this part pretty hard.
I currently have the number 8 time in this game. Yeah, you're going to see that on display right here. Okay. So this is going to be frame perfect. Rear up and... Okay. Give me that. Give me that.
More frame perfect.
All right. Even more frame perfect.
Good,
All right, here's the most
go.
important part right here. And jump on Kyrie, jump on Kyrie, jump on Kyrie, jump on Riku, jump on Goofy, jump on Donald, jump on Kyrie, run to the hand. Haha, wait, what?
Thank you.
Wow.
So that manipulates the RNG for the rest of the run. So
Oh
we
yeah.
have
We are literally getting perfect RNG for the rest of the run because of that.
Thank you, Spike, for setting us up for that.
Thank you. Thank
world
you.
record is on its way.
All right, Riz can get a max of 4 air combos there. He got 3 and maybe 1/3. It's still really important to get in as many as you can. What's also extremely important is if you stay right in front of Twilight Thorn's head, the thorns will, as you saw right there, they just kind of stop shooting. So this is kind of a safe zone where we can just combo the heck out of his head.
All right, I'm gonna take this a bit safer.
Yeah.
Because I'm having trouble getting off the ground.
Yeah.
Kind of a problem with Roxas is he likes to stick to the ground.
Nice.
That was good.
There we go.
Yeah, Roxas is basically probably the worst character I've ever played as in a game. He falls like a brick, so doing an air combo with him is extremely difficult, and that's pretty much what we spam almost the entire Roxas section. And sometimes you'll jump and not attack. It's really hard to control him in a speed run, so we all hate him.
Shoutouts to Muffin QT for dying in Twilight Thorn all the time.
Wow.
Shots fired, bro. All right, right here we're going to be doing struggle fights. The basic premise is you want to get more orbs than the other person by hitting them, but because of the abilities that you get only in critical mode, such as Finishing Plus and Draw, we can actually get all 200 orbs to end the fight instantly. So anywhere between like maybe a 43 to like a 40 or maybe lower is what we normally get right around here, as you can see.
Yeah, having the draw makes this significantly
Painter is,
faster than any
very
of the other
annoying
modes.
fight. Okay. I equipped guard earlier in that menu, so it comes in handy on this fight sometimes.
Yeah, so he went like to a side we usually don't combo him to. It's kind of hard to control that.
So in this game, there's actually a mechanic that's pretty prevalent throughout the entire run that is kind of first really seen here in these struggle fights, and that is something called revenge value. Revenge value is something that will allow your enemy to be able to retaliate if you try to just constantly hit him. And I'm sure Bloody and Biscuit would love to go into more detail about that, but basically it's why that they do these combos that don't necessarily all have finishers or some have 2 finishers. It's all very strict manipulation of that revenge value to force counters at certain times.
So that was a perfect PV fight. It's pretty much a 100% consistent strat if we do it like that.
Yeah. As you can see, he hit him once and then he guarded because he knew he was going to retaliate. So that's kind of what makes that fight incredibly consistent and fast.
Speaking of consistent, this
Oh,
fight
yeah,
is anything but
consistency.
consistent.
In fast fights, this one is definitely
Yeah,
up
see,
there.
this
Yeah.
is Roxas.
Yeah. So, okay. As far as fights go, that was pretty good.
Yeah, that was actually really good for them. That's one of the worst fights in the Roxas section, easily.
Yeah.
Anytime Roxas has to jump and attack Dusks, it's bad news bears.
This next fight, we basically can skip his desperation attack if we constantly just keep comboing him at certain times, and you'll see it will speak for itself probably.
What Biz is talking about when he says desperation attack or desperation move, we abbreviate it as DM, and we call skipping those DM skips.
Good, got it.
Nice.
Desperation moves are, it's kind of like their limit break. When they're at low health, they'll become invincible, and the other visual cue is the screen becomes dark and stuff like that, and they'll kind of throw out their ultimate move. It wastes a lot of time, but for most bosses, we have a way to either get around it or just skip it entirely. So that's a lot of what this entire speedrun is based on, is DM skips.
All right, so this fight, basically, we actually lose on purpose, and there are a couple of reasons. First of all, on critical, as you can see, it's really fast, and the game will still progress if you lose, of course. And the second is if you lose, you get the medal, which is an accessory that gives you +1 strength. If you win, you get the champion belt, which we don't really have a use for in the speedrun, but 1 strength point is enough to affect many fights for the next pretty big portion of the game, so we definitely need it. It's very worth it.
One kind of subtle thing I'll throw out about there about Final Mix as opposed to the original. In addition to, it's honestly just a better version of Kingdom Hearts 2. What makes it also nice to speedrun is that we get 20 minutes less of load times. So these load times are actually super fast. The world record for Kingdom Hearts 2 original on beginner is 402 something, I believe.
403.
403. Yeah. Whereas here, Bloody has the record at 343 on critical mode, to just give you an idea of how much faster and kind of better this game is.
So there on that menu, he equipped the medal we just got, set up a potion, and equipped scan finally.
Yeah, so we'll be able to see enemy health now, and for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
There's always going to be some people who are going to jump out there and say, oh, save the frames, don't equip scan. Do you really need that? I always get questions like that in my chat. Shoutouts to my chat. But no, yeah, we definitely, it's too important to know precisely what the HP levels are for all the different bosses and fights.
In addition to what Spike was saying about the HP being pretty precise, a lot of the bosses in this game, especially later on, actually have different phases, and they have what we call HP gates, which are points at their HP bar at which they will traverse into another phase. So being able to know the precise amount of HP they have left so we know when they're going to switch phases is very important.
And let these guys attack.
Yeah, BB clones are very hard to control. We basically try our best to catch them with finishers as they spawn and such, but they're pretty elusive to Roxas combos. So
There's a bunch of different strats for how it works. It's crazy.
Yeah, we don't have a consistent strat for that fight.
And coming up in this next fight, you're going to see instant dividends paid off for us taking the medal from the Setzer fight for losing. Because that it cuts probably, what, a full combo off of this
yeah,
fight,
it does.
something like that.
This is where like a lot of people just don't understand that +1 strength makes that much of a difference, but it does. +1 strength can be like the difference between a full combo, as you can see right here.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Also, Roxas is good.
Shouts to Roxas.
Roxas
Best character.
is Roxas.
Also, I'd like to point out, one of our community members, the Mistmaster 1, has actually offered to donate, I believe, $1 for every whiff throughout this run.
Every
So
time I
that's
miss
already
this-
$2
yeah.
right now.
Yeah, I've missed a couple times.
Technically
already.
more from the
There's
Olympus
probably a lot more from back there.
Yeah.
I hope you're counting missed.
Also, this is best minigame.
Oh, this is the greatest minigame.
There's actually a soft
There's a
lock on this,
possibility.
but it's extremely rare. I think we've only seen it maybe a few times ever.
Yeah. I've seen it less than 5 times. It's never happened to me.
You've seen it that many times? Oh my god. I've never
We have
seen
a save
this.
if it does
It's,
soft lock.
Yeah.
Other than that, this minigame is literally mash triangle, and
Yeah.
you win.
Yeah.
Very, very good
The
design.
embodiment of Kingdom Hearts 2 in this minigame.
I hope everyone's excited. This is setting the tone for everything
yeah,
else the
yeah.
rest of the run.
Press triangle to win.
All right, so game didn't crash. Woo.
Yay!
All right, so this next stretch, they want you to walk up to one event and then walk to another event. So if we have any donations, this is a great time for some.
And boy, do we. $100, more like $10. My next donation was going to be during Dark Souls 2, but since Jackson is on the mic, I just had to make him say, I'm Commander Jackson, and this is my favorite run on the Citadel. Have a great run. Happy to oblige, that's why I'm here. $25 from Ray of Speed. Ray of Speed here, that Kingdom Key is too darn cool to not bid on, and I think this gets me in for another bid on the PS4 as well. Put this money towards Spike Vegeta's choice, but only if he gives his best. Kingdom Hearts is light. Otherwise, put it on Casey for Tifa's name for FF7. That's the name of a girl I love. Shoutouts to Casey.
Over this way, needs to be further this way. So like, where's the camera cut off? Right on my shoulder? Okay. Kingdom Hearts is light!
Wow.
Did I sound pubescent enough? It's gotta be. All right, sick.
$100 from...
Butts we need to fit on this one couch.
Speaking of butt fitting, $100 from Anonymous saying, I'm glad to be able to donate to a GDQ during a KH run. Hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. Good luck with the gameplay and singing to Rizzle, Biz, Other Biz, and Spike. Please have this donation be runner's choice. And $50 more from Anonymous. Hey there, figure I would donate during my favorite game of all time. Love all the runs I've managed to catch. Hope to see you destroy this run. Also to hear everyone's lovely singing voices. Disney hype.
So this is the first time we see the assassin nobody enemy, and we have to be very careful with them because basically if you do damage to them and don't keep staggering them, they go into the ground and then they may just come back up and kill themselves. And that loses us EXP and could potentially kill us later in the run, so we have to handle them very carefully.
He also just fought out that fight for the EXP. You actually can do a death abuse there and save some time, but The EXP is well worth it later on in the run, so we pick it up here.
Yeah, we kind of had to pick and choose which fights we death abuse in for EXP. Some are just not really worth it.
In general, I mean, people probably throw out this term quite a bit in speedrunning, but this community has really optimized this category to an incredible extent, including also the beginner mode category for this run. A lot of similar strats with a few differences here and there, some of them having to do with the abilities you get at the beginning of the run. But I remember when people were blown away by a Hirun's old, like, he had like a 418 at one point, and then Rupa came along. These are a couple of Japanese RTAers of the Kingdom Hearts games. Rupa had a 401, and it's amazing that they've shaved 18 minutes off that time since then, because we thought that Rupa run was like the ultimate YOLO, just going for everything, didn't care. And so shout outs, I know, to Rizzle, the current runner of the game. He has found a lot of the strategies.
You mean
for
every
this game.
strat?
Yes.
Probably every strat.
No. Literally every single
He has literally
strat.
found every strat ever.
Whenever we have a problem with a fight and we're like, why isn't this consistent? This dude just tests everything and finds a strat that's at least better.
Yeah, not just for KH2 FM either. He's found strats for 1.5, which was the other game in this bid war, and I'm sure other stuff as well. I don't even know. Also, this fight sucks balls. I'm just going to throw that out
This is
there.
one of the worst
Oh my.
fights.
Yeah, you do not want Roxas to whiff in this fight.
And he will, unfortunately.
Yeah, probably.
But
So he wants to kill 3 Dusks because that'll spawn the next wave of enemies. And since they are assassins, you want to kill assassins as quickly as possible. So he'll kill 3 and then go after the assassins and then clean up from there, basically.
Yeah, you're noticing in this fight, he's just constantly having to react to how the dusks are being kind of flown around. Because all those attacks deal heavy damage. So
That is some charity
that
right
is
there.
an unbelievable fight.
that
is
was
an
really good. Oh, man.
unbelievable fight.
Shoutouts to assassins for the charity.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, you see that fight and it might not look... Actually, I'm going to hold off on that until after this fight because I'm sure there's explanation that Biscuit and Bloody want to do.
Yeah, we're basically gonna just combo him to a certain point and hit his revenge value. So he goes into the wall, comes out, we do his RC, which is reaction command, by the way, and then we just get a quick kill on him.
Reaction boost kind of shreds through his health, like right there.
As you can see, yes, lots of damage on it.
Okay. That's good. It's
Roxas
over. That's the last fight as Roxas, so we get to play as the good character now.
So to kind of go into about that a little bit more, Roxas actually does behave differently from Sora. He, as Biscuit mentioned earlier, he doesn't like to jump very well, but also his air combos come out slower, as well as a few other factors. So everybody pretty much prefers playing as Sora, since he just has a much cleaner gameplay.
It seems like they were designed and they play like 2 completely different characters. Like they aren't just like clones or different textures. Roxas is literally like has different. It just feels different.
Different physics.
Yeah, a lot of people allude playing Roxas as playing Sora from Kingdom Hearts 1, and that might have been kind of a transition that they wanted to have on purpose, but nobody's really sure.
It would have been kind of cool, but
He's
you never
actually
know.
worse than Sora and KH1 when it comes to combos. It's just really slow, and it's hard to match out those combos.
Yeah, and so just that one thing I want to mention earlier is that some of these fights where you know, he's not getting hit at all and it's going very quickly, and you're wondering, well, isn't that just how every fight is? Why is this seeming so special? We die in pretty much 2 hits, and some things can one-shot us later on in the game. To almost, yeah, quite a few things.
There's
Almost
plenty.
every single fight will kill you in 2 hits. So it's pretty important to not get hit, and to try to do that while also being fast is one of the most difficult things about this game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, we probably are going to end up dying at some point in this run, at least a couple times. It's incredibly
Deathless
difficult.
runs are few and far between.
I think there's only been a few of us that have ever deathless this run at all.
Yeah. My lowest number of deaths I've gotten was 1 in 1 run, so...
Yeah, so right there we ended the fight early by taking damage. It wouldn't really be worth it to fight it out. So
That's another death abuse.
It's worth it on a beginner mode, but in critical mode, you actually get 75% of the EXP compared to other modes, so fighting that fight out just gives you nothing worthwhile for critical.
Something of note, we're going to have a few fights in this tower, and we get to fight shadows now, and they are extremely difficult to optimally kill because they have this one move where they just go under the ground and they're invincible, and they can do it twice in a row, and we don't have any like real tools to deal with that yet because we don't have like fire or anything. So you're probably going to see a lot of that, and it's pretty frustrating for us.
Yeah. Okay, that was a good combo.
There we go, good fight.
That was pretty much almost a perfect fight.
Yeah.
So we saw right there Donald using the first spell we're actually seeing in the game, which is Thunder. And to kind of go over just some of the very basic mechanics of a Kingdom Hearts game for those that have not played it before. In this game, we have that command menu that you see in the bottom left. You use the D-pad to select different parts of that command menu, and then you perform the action on that command menu. The top action is attack, and that's what we'll be using throughout most of the run, but there's also magic spells, summons, drive forms, and abilities that we get throughout the run that we'll be talking about more as we get them.
Yeah, that's what's great about this run is we really utilize a lot of what we get. We use every summon we get. We use almost all the drive forms. It's in some limits too. Even it's not like one single thing. We spam the entire run to get past these fights.
I believe we use every spell as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to end up using every single magic spell we've got at disposal to Fire, Blizzard, Thunder, Reflect, Magnet. Not Cure, hopefully. Yeah, we'll be using all the drive forms, maybe, technically. But at least 4 of the forms, all 4 of the summons given to us in the game, almost all the special Keyblade abilities that we'll get through growth. Lots and lots of different choices. So there's not really just one overpowered technique that kind of you default to throughout the game, as Biscuit was saying.
It's pretty impressive for, like, as you can see, this is like an action RPG, like hack and slash game. It's kind of amazing that there isn't really an overpowered part of the game. Everything is really, really balanced out, and in terms of creating speedrun strats, it gives us a lot of leeway and creativity, and there's always seemingly new strats to be found.
Something I want to point out there in that last fight is hitting some enemies a certain amount of times will force them to use their reaction command. So what I was doing there was hitting soldiers 3 times to get the Cyclone reaction command and using that. And that's going to be used quite a bit in this run for different enemies.
Yeah, so like right there, he baited out the Cyclone reaction command from the soldiers, which he did by doing 3 empty hits, not actually finishing any of his combos, because that would have knocked them out. And then utilizing that, and then walking back at a certain angle, he's able to kind of trap others in the trajectory of the Cyclone, which one-shots them. Partly just because it's a really powerful reaction command, but also because one of the other added abilities you got at the start of critical mode was reaction boost. So you might think a lot of cases the animations for those in a lot of fights would be too long and not worth it. With reaction boost, a lot of those actually do become powerful enough, so you do want to bait those out. And with that, we are finally out of Twilight Town. I promise all the other worlds are not nearly that long.
So, yeah, speaking of which, the run's going to start getting pretty interesting now because we got some pretty scary fights coming up.
We also got the first drive form in the game, Valor form. It's useful for about half of the run. We use it a lot for movement, actually. As you're going to see here, Riz is going to immediately use it to move faster. And it's also used in a lot of combat situations. You actually do get like a strength increase, and it gives you a lot of variety in terms of like what you can do with your combat.
The drawback of Valor form, though,
Got the
is
swag.
we don't have guard, and we can't use magic in this form, so it's also a pretty dangerous form to use on critical mode. So because we don't really have much defense of any kind, so we have to be very careful.
To explain a little bit more about what drive forms are, they actually use your one or both of your party members in order to gain a form that has different abilities and different strengths and weaknesses. As they mentioned, the strength of Valor form is that it is supposed to be strong in physical attacks. Look, that was an amazing fight. That fight is actually very important because these drive forms actually can level up. And as you saw right there, Riz hit another soldier at the end of that. Valor form levels up based on the number of hits that you do to enemies. And so we want to make sure we get in a certain number of hits throughout those 2 fights, as well as some later fights in Land of Dragons so that we can actually level up and be able to stay in Valor form for a longer amount of time, and later on also gain its growth ability, which is high jump.
Yeah, we'll be grabbing a drive recovery for safety here in the run. It will, if we happen to mess up one of the strats later, we'll be able to fall back on that and get all our drive gauges back, so we can go right into a drive again.
Yeah, an important difference between the original Kingdom Hearts is that drive recoveries restore 3 drive gauges instead of 1. So you can basically get a free drive use out of 1 drive recovery, and that's the only one that's in a chest in the entire route. So we kind of pick it up for the safety.
So this is the first like really terrible fight in the game, in the category, in my opinion. There are 3 waves of Heartless here, or nobody's here. With the first wave right here, what his goal is to actually get Leon as far away as possible from the others.
Oh dear.
Okay. Nice.
Nice.
So he wants to utilize that reaction command as much as he can, the dual stances, which can be hard because this fight's never going to go the same way every time. Oh, baby.
Ooh.
Oh, baby.
Oh,
baby.
So those RCs pop up a lot faster in Final Mix compared to English, so you got to be really ready for them.
Yeah, we get one-shotted by them, I believe, if we fail it.
It's almost a one-shot. For my health, it would have killed me, yes, if I'd failed any of those. So glad I didn't.
Yeah. So that was a sketchy start, but that ended up being a really good second phase. And this third phase, he saved all of his MP for here to kind of try to get up to the side of the dusks and just blizzard them away. So that was such a good fight. Yeah. And again, to reiterate what critical mode is, just watching that one combo, he missed the guard on that first samurai and it almost killed him. So that was pretty great. Anyways, also, so not to break away from the action, but while we do break away from the action, you guys donated for Disney songs. The #1 song you guys donated for was actually I'll Make a Man Out of You. And I'd like to ask my buddy Cruncha to actually come up. This is Cruncha from the Tropical Freeze community, and I thought he'd be good for this. So, do you have the lyrics?
I got him. Got him up here. Okay. Start whenever.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and we are doing these a cappella, so.
Right. Or do I?
Sure is exciting.
Yeah, we'll jump in.
Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. Did they send me daughters when I asked for sons? You're the saddest bunch I've ever met, but you can bet before we're through, Mister, I'll make a man out of you. Tranquil as a forest, but on fire within. Once you find your center, you are sure to win. You're a spineless, pale, pathetic lot, and you haven't got a clue. Somehow I'll make a man out of you.
I'm never gonna catch my breath. Say goodbye to those who knew me. Boy, I was a fool in school for cutting gym. This guy's got scared to death. Hope he doesn't see right through me. Now I really wish that I knew how to swim.
Be a man. You must be swift as a coursing river. Be a man. With all the force of a great typhoon. Be a man. With all the strength of a raging fire. Mysterious as the dark side of the moon. Time is racing toward us until the Huns arrive. Heed my every order, and you might survive. You're unsuited for the rage of war, so pack up, go home, you're through. How could I make a man out of you?
Be a man.
You must be swift as a coursing river. With all the force of a great typhoon. With all the strength of a raging fire. Mysterious as the dark side of the moon.
Be a man.
You must be swift as a coursing river. With all the force of a great typhoon. With all the strength of a raging fire. Mysterious as the dark side of the moon.
Just to quickly mention,
Shout outs to my boy Cruncha from the Tropical Freeze community.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude. All right, gummy missions. Yeah, they're bad. They're auto scrollers. They last like 4 minutes. You can't speed them up.
But
So
you
yeah.
can sing through them.
No, so that was our way of kind of filling them up. There's 7 of them throughout the run.
Yeah.
So, but with that, here we are conveniently at Mulan World or Land of Dragons.
Yeah, so it's probably pretty interesting for people. We actually go to Land of Dragons first instead of Beast Castle because it's actually faster.
You get more EXP out of it, which will increase your strength, and they don't really scale your level at that point. So you can actually go from here to Olympus and then around to Beast Castle, and you'll actually be over leveled at that point. Also, shadows be crawling all over the tents.
Yeah, this fight's super random. There's not much you can do. Your goal is basically just to
Valor
get
Form
Valor
kind of
hits.
turns Sora back into Roxas a little bit, and you tend to miss a lot with it, so.
Yeah, the biggest problem in that fight is that Sora can end up targeting the tents, and that can extend his combo when really all you want to do is move on to the next shadow or the next enemy in general. So it's important here somewhat. It'll save 5 to 10 seconds later on if he's able to get level 2 in this fight of Valor is what I'm saying. And again, that's determined by how many hits you have. So okay, there he got it.
Yeah, so the important thing about hitting Valor level 2 is now we have an extra drive gauge in Valor, which will help us get through the mountain climb segment coming up soon without reverting during it.
You also get drive a lot faster in Final Mix, so through these next few missions, he's just going to get his drive back naturally and then be able to use Valor Form that way.
Also, something we haven't talked about is in this game, magic actually behaves pretty differently from in Kingdom Hearts 1, both in the actual spells themselves, as you saw there, fire does an area of effect damage around you, but also, like your normal combos, spells actually have finishers. They have combo hits and finishers. And so what you saw there is because of the finishing plus ability he has equipped, he's able to use a fire finisher with a blizzard directly after. We tend to not want to use the fire finishers too much here. You'll see he's only doing 2 hits and then following up with regular attacks. But it's just good to note that Magic actually does have these combos, and you'll see variations of them later on.
This is being kind of annoying here.
Yeah, this is by far the scariest mission in Land of Dragons. This is the first time you see the Assault Riders, and we have to handle them very carefully. They can kind of break out of a combo if you don't stun them properly, and they are very strong with their attacks.
Yeah, if you remember the spin twirly guys, yeah, they're back.
He's getting destroyed in the back.
It is pretty easy to deal with them if you land the correct combo.
Yeah, that mission is actually very scary. It's common to have runs die there.
Cerberus handled it pretty well, to be honest.
Yeah.
Mainly because of
dying
just
there is
how
scary.
they spread out those enemies in that final wave, where you've got the Night Walkers on either side of the Storm Rider, and you always, once again, just have to react. Nice. That's a really finicky Blizzard shot there.
Yeah, I was going to say, now we finally have magic to deal with the shadows, so we can generally stop them from going under if we throw a fire fast enough, because so many hitboxes around it. They just can't get around it usually.
Also, this mission, it's the least scary, but it's just the dumbest one, because these shadows love to just run in corners and never come towards you.
Yeah, it's pretty luck dependent whether the shadows like come to you or not.
Oh, thanks, Goofy.
Another reason he's using fire on these shadows is that even though you can also miss when you're using your normal attacks.
Okay.
Fire also will hit over multiple frames. It is damage over time, basically. And because of that, it's much easier when you have an enemy like a Shadow that has a chance of going back underground within a few frames. It's a really good idea to use an ability that's going to hit over multiple frames so that you can actually make sure you have a better chance of staggering the enemy.
Okay, so we're coming up on the mountain climbing segment, and basically there are these boulder walls that we're going to have to use a reaction command on, but we're not invincible during it, like some other RCs, so we actually have to clear out the enemies safely for the first two. And then we basically abuse on the last one the fact that the game won't load certain enemies depending on how many are following you, so we can skip the Assault Rider on the last one and just go right for it.
And this is where getting Valor 2 is basically kicking in. That allows him to have one extra drive gauge worth of getting to use Valor here. So it'd be running out right about now if he didn't get that level up.
Yeah, there's supposed to be an Assault Rider that spawns right there, but we basically stopped him from spawning.
There are actually two, like after you kill the first one, and the second one spawns. But since there are two enemies, there's like not enough space. So thank you PS2 limitations for giving us that.
So yeah, again, having level 2 is just allowing him to run throughout this entire section in Valor, because Valor movement, base Valor movement, is better than base Sora movement. Saves what, Riz, like 5 seconds?
Something like that, yeah.
So it's a little thing, but again, every second counts, especially in a category this optimized. Bloody, you want to talk about why this fight is terrible?
Oh my Christ. Okay, so you know how shadows are bad? Well, there's like a bunch of them, and they all suck.
Literally 1 million shadows in this
I mean, what else do you want me to say? They are all horrible.
Shadows.
Yeah, so again, look at that absolute chunk of health, that little swipe from one of these like 50 shadows.
You can get 3-shot and like you're surrounded by them, and even if you just kind of try and berserk through it and just fire constantly, you can just get cheap shot, and it's horrible, and I hate all of them. Oh my god. Riz is doing really good by far. Trying to round up all of them in like 2 waves right there is the most optimal way of killing them.
Right there, what he did was he wanted to bait out attacks from both of them.
Safe here.
Yeah, to be a little bit safe.
Yeah, one of their attacks do not stagger at all, which is the spinny one in the first phase of the enemy, so we kind of have to make sure we avoid that attack because it does a lot of damage.
So again, that was a really good K fight by Riz. And since you filled back up your drive gauge here, we get another usage of Valor, all for movement purposes.
Yeah, you're just gonna, anytime that we're moving in between areas, as you can see, like it's pretty linear. It's just kind of moving from fight to fight. So anytime that we have to do that, if we can, we will use a drive form to move faster. For now, at least. Later on, that will change.
There's actually several points too where you'll be seeing them use either a summon or a drive form right before an area that they know they're going to not be in that form. When your party members are taken away from you, or at least especially the ones that are required for the drive form you're using, your drive gauge will actually refill to max if you were in a drive form or had a summon out or something similar. So as you can see right there, he now has a drive gauge max of level 3 because he was in Valor form. Losing it at 0 at the wrong times can actually be really, really harmful for the rest of the run. So that's why a lot of the areas are very manipulatable that way.
Yeah. So the goal of this fight is to get as much EXP as you can, and it's a timed fight, so we can't really speed it up. So
yeah, there's a few time fights where we just kind of go for EXP. He wants to be at under 125 to level 10, which should get him the appropriate EXP. He wants to hit level 10 because that's a strength increase, which will be important for Shan Yu coming up later.
Unfortunately, he's not getting many of the reaction commands from the rapid thruster enemies, so he's not getting a lot of kills from that.
Yeah, RCs would definitely help with killing things naturally.
There's one.
A bit late on that, but oh well. So I'm a little tiny bit short on the XP, but it shouldn't actually matter. Mulan should help me get that back.
Yeah, there are actual enemies in the Shan Yu fight where if Mulan takes care of them, speaking of which, Mulan is added to the party, you'll be able to get to the right EXP.
Vast upgrade for ping to Mulan.
Also, you can change your party member's AI basically using the customize. So what Riz just did there is he switched Mulan to party attack. That changes Mulan's AI to attack enemies that Sora's not targeted onto. So specifically what that does for the Shan Yu fight is while you're targeting onto Shan Yu, she will take care of the Heartless that are trying to kill the gate. If we didn't do that, then the gate would be killed pretty easily, even before we can kill Shan Yu.
So right there, we're buying a fire armor for basically an upcoming fight in the next world, and it is actually essential to making it much safer. And we also brought a tent, which we're going to use after this segment. You can explain what it is.
Oh, we're going to turn into Superman real quick, and we're going to fly, and it's awesome. Okay, so that saves 4 seconds. It's pretty cool.
Wasn't really the intended usage of Mulan's limit.
That is
Absolutely.
it's definitely intended right there.
Yeah, that's one of those limits that you just have like free movement during, and it just happens you can fly. So we use that only once though.
Yeah, and limits, since we haven't exactly gone over them, I guess. Limits are abilities that you use with a party member usually, or there are a couple of solo ones that take all of your MP gauge, but don't have a set amount, so you just need 1 MP to use them. And the way MP works in this game, when you run out, you run into something called MP charge, which is that pink bar you'll see right at the bottom of the screen there. That gauge actually, I don't believe, can be sped up and is by attacking or anything, and is very long. So we don't want to be an MP charge whenever we can avoid it. Otherwise, we might have to use ethers, which restore your MP.
So that fight right there, we basically just use Mulan's limit, and we will, like 9 out of 10 times, it will kill everything for us.
Yeah, the fireballs kind of just randomly fall from the sky, and you just, most of the time they kill all the bolt towers. Sometimes they'll just whiff. So now we're at the Shan Yu fight. Specifically what Riz wants to do is he wants to get Shan Yu to an HP gate, a certain part of his health, and then from there, Shan Yu will turn into this purple mode, and you want to get him out of that as quickly as possible. What he'll do is he'll guard Shan Yu in his purple mode to activate that reaction command right there, and it'll disengage the purple mode so that he can combo him to death from there. Otherwise, Shan Yu would just kind of be flying around, and it would be extremely annoying.
Oh dear.
Ah.
Can't do much about that. Okay, that's good.
So the biggest problem with this fight is usually the bird that's flying around. It can hit you at really wonky times and ruin your combo, but fortunately it didn't this time, so this was a really solid fight.
All right, there we go.
Good.
Yeah, in this game, any boss fight actually requires a finisher to end the fight. So the boss can actually be sitting there at 1 HP, and you could be dealing damage via combos, and it won't do anything to end the fight. Magic actually counts as a finisher in these instances, as well as some other abilities that we'll get later in the game. So it's really important to be able to know when to use magic as opposed to when to finishing a combo.
And so, yeah, and with that, we're on to our next Disney song. These kind of come rapid fire at the beginning of each world, which is nice. You kind of notice, like, how fast the Disney-themed worlds are in this game. With that, we're going to jump around on here. We're doing the top 6 Disney songs. And this one, themed to Olympus Coliseum that we're going to. We're going to have Cruncha also do Go the Distance.
I have often dreamed of a far-off place where a great warm welcome will be waiting for me, where the crowds will cheer when they see my face, and a voice keeps saying, "This is where I'm meant to be. I will find my way. I can go the distance. I'll be there someday. If I can be strong, I know every mile will be worth my while. I would go most anywhere to feel like I belong. I am on my way. I can go the distance, I don't care how far. Somehow I'll be strong, I know every mile will be worth my while. I would go most anywhere to find where I belong.
Yeah. I think okay. I think there was a fan dub, so thanks for that. All right, sweet. Yeah.
Something of note, by the way, on this gummy mission is this is probably the most dangerous gummy mission. Riz basically destroyed all the cannons because those do a ton of damage to you, and it's not a critical mode thing, it's a final mix thing. They buff the damage on gummy missions, so we could actually die during some of them now if we don't really pay attention to them. Oh, also, we are heading to Olympus as our second Disney World, and it's pretty interesting because the game devs didn't really want you to do that. Olympus is basically our least favorite world, not because it's like boring or anything, but because you can easily die in any fight, and it probably will be out of your control.
Yeah, this world sucks. That's my input there. This world is terrible. There's so many fights that can kill you here, and it's not your fight, and it's not your fault at all.
This is definitely not a runner's favorite for sure. This has got to be like top or worst 3 worlds for any runner who runs this category.
Also, early on in the world, you're going to notice that...
Is that you, Muffin? Shut up, Muffin.
Whoa. Whoa.
Wow. Shots fired at Muffin. You love Olympus? Okay, whatever.
Early on in the world, you're going to notice that we won't be using Valor Form at all. Actually, the drive gauge is locked until you get a certain item later on in the world, so we won't be able to use any drive forms whatsoever when in the Underworld for most of the world. On top of that, there is going to be a moment later on that Riz is going to want some serious time, where we're probably going to be calling for everybody to please be as quiet as possible. And so we will be letting you know exactly when that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be the Hades escape fight, as we call it, where we're basically running from Hades, and that's an extremely terrifying fight because you are literally running from Hades, and he chases you down. He's invincible. He throws fireballs at you that can kill you in just 3 shots at full HP. You have to really focus on where he is at all times while killing the many enemies around you that can also kill you in 1 or 2 hits. There's a lot going on, and it's a pretty intense fight.
And while we're traveling there, I figure we can go ahead and read off a few donations, but I just want to hear from Bloody or Biz what the basic strategy Riz wants to utilize in order to clear out the Heartless in the fastest way.
Well, there's multiple different strategies for each tier. The general strategy, though, is that Hades is invincible. He throws fireballs at you, and they 3-shot you. Thanks to the fire armor, of course. But yeah, you have to be constantly aware of what Hades is going to do. Otherwise, he is literally going to throw fireballs in your face and make you die.
And again, utilizing the reaction boost ability that you got at the beginning of the game, because this is on critical, there's a reaction command attached to one of the enemies called Bat Cry.
There's a couple reaction commands. Like the whole fight itself is like littered with reaction commands that you use. They have iframes, so you're safe for the most part. And it's just kind of the fastest way or best way to do damage while being safe from Hades.
One thing about that, though, is there's a few frames after a reaction command where you can't move, but you can be damaged. So if you do a reaction command and you're 1 hit away from death, you can just be sniped out of it. And that really sucks. And it's pretty much the only way I die in this fight now is if I just get hit out of an RC and there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, unfortunately, if he does die, we have to walk back up this green room again. The way the game works is it puts you before fights start, basically, in the room before the fight starts when you choose to continue. So it's kind of a few-minute time loss if you die in the last tier.
Probably explain more about this fight afterwards, but for now, let's go ahead and give Riz some serious time, because this is one of the worst fights in the game, without a doubt.
Serious time, please.
I specifically targeted on the large body there to make sure he dies, because he's the most dangerous enemy right now. Okay. That was incredible.
I want to say he made that look easy, but I think people could tell he was reacting so well to just always listening to Hades as he was throwing the fireballs. He can feel the heat infinitely. Golly, that was an amazing fight. Great job. He almost no damaged that, yeah. If you want to read a donation after that, go for it. We're just walking up to the next fight.
After that, let's cruise out of the Underworld with some donations. We received $80 from Datstream. Been up all night for this. Glad to see AGDQ continuing the tradition of breaking cancer with fast games. Glad to see how everyone works. Glad to see how everyone works. Shoutouts to our boy Dax in the back, the world record holder for Sonic Boom. Money goes to whatever he wants. Thank you for your donation. $15 from Adam Sanyo. Come on, guys, let's push for $1 million like last year. Oh, and kill the animals. Sorry. Smiley face.
All right, so to counter how difficult Hades' escape was, Cerberus is pretty easy. He's probably going to no damage it, honestly. This fight's designed, like, I don't know. It's,
no. Wait.
Charles!
Oh boy!
Yeah. So this fight is much faster if done with Mickey. He does more damage than Sora and doesn't die in 2 hits like Sora does, so it's a lot easier to use him here. It is guaranteed that he will show up in this fight because it's the first time that we're using him. After this, the chance for him appearing in fights goes down. So this is the only fight where we're like guaranteed to use him. My first round of pearls did pretty bad damage, but hopefully I can get enough here. Okay. Okay, and he's fireballing, so okay, yeah.
Also missed. That was about 50 whiffs right there, so I'm expecting $50.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So because he's using the fireball, I need to end with orange limit because it makes me invincible. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. The desperation move there by Cerberus is pretty trash. So he could have killed him if he wasn't doing that, just like jumping and using a blizzard or something. But you go ahead and use that limit usually if you want to be safe, if he's in that mode.
By the way, Charles, your oh no was literally perfect.
Yeah, we will not be using Mickey anymore intentionally, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Riz, I know you and the other guys, you guys tried to figure out some way to use him on the upcoming Hydra fight, but which would be inconsistent. After this, it is not 100% consistent that Mickey will show up. They did think about using him there, but I guess just time-wise it wasn't working out.
We tried swapping Cerberus and Hydra Mickey usages. If you don't use Mickey on Cerberus, you lose 20 seconds about, and using it on Hydra doesn't really produce the same, like, more time save, and it's just a lot wonkier to. It's harder to get like killed really quickly in the Hydra fight, so it's a lot better to use it on Cerberus.
Yeah, as we saw, it took a while for Sora to come back to life, so, you know, by the time you do that, Hydra will come back to life too, usually. And also, like, the fight has a lot of weird HP barriers that you can't bypass with Mickey.
So here we have the urns. Yeah, if you want to explain it, Biz, go for it.
Yeah, it's just 2 simple mini games. Break the urns, get the orbs. In this next one, we try to spawn the golden urn on the 3rd wave of urns. And if we knock it into smaller urns, we'll get more big urns. Or what are they worth, like 10?
Yeah, the big orbs are worth 10. He needs to create space for this big urn that he's talking about, so Riz is going to be spending all of his time just destroying all of these smaller ones to create space on the field for the big one.
Yeah, he really doesn't want to spend his time actually picking up orbs because all of these are kind of meaningless compared to just this guy. And all those are worth 10, so.
Yeah, that just kind of ends the minigame right there.
And with that, we're going to have some more just overworld movement. You'll see 1 usage of Valor here. This Valor saves like half a second or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's some...
Yeah.
which is a little surprising. You figure like Valor movement looks like it's much faster, but when you take into account like the drive explosion
the
there,
animation of going into Valor always takes some time. So there's a lot of places where it just isn't worth it. Like on the way to the urns, it's slower to use Valor there because it's too small of a room.
He's also picking up a power boost right here, which is the only one in the route. And like I said, strength's important, so we pick it up.
I think it's the only one in a chest in the entire game.
You know you're right, actually.
Which is pretty interesting. Yeah. So on that menu, he basically equipped counterattack, which is an ability that breaks attacks on bosses really well. So all you have to do is guard or parry, and then you can counter guard it like mid-attack and just go into your own combo.
Counterattack is basically going to break a boss later on, you'll see.
So glad Counter Guard is in this game.
Other than that, it's just a little bit of overworld movement, so if you have time for a couple donations, go for it.
And time we have. Before that, I would like to mention our donation incentives that we have going on right now. Coming up soon is Final Fantasy VII, and we will be having bid wars for the 9 character names of the main characters of Final Fantasy VII, so if you have a favorite name, please go ahead and donate for that. We also have the donation goal of $20,000 for streaming the Smash Brothers Melee Finals and a speedrun of Adventure Mode after Ocarina of Time, after ZFG's Ocarina of Time run. And there's another $25,000 goal for an Ocarina of Time glitch exhibition after that, which should be very exciting indeed. Those are some of our donation incentives coming up, and they will be tons of fun.
So right here for this minigame, there's 100 of these clones that he has to destroy. The person in the middle, Demix, he's actually the source of the clones, so what you want Sora to do is throw the clones towards him, but he throws them in general random directions, so it's really difficult to get like the perfect fight, but this RNG is pretty good, so I'm just going to shut up.
Yeah, he set his party members to Sora attack, which means they're not going to do any attacks. And the reason for that is they can agitate the clones, and they actually have an attack that can absolutely destroy you. They do
44 there is extremely good.
Yeah.
Also, a keen observer there might have noticed he was actually at half HP and wonder why not heal. In that fight, the water clones actually one-shot you, so it's very rare that they will hit you if you're doing the fight properly and spamming the reaction commands. But if they hit you, you're screwed anyways, so.
Yeah, this is the other scary part of early game is the set of 2 Pete fights, with the second Pete fight being an absolute nightmare. The first Pete fight is a timed fight, so we're basically just going to focus on killing the enemies around Pete for EXP and safety. And then when this fight ends, we're going to go into the next fight, and basically Pete has a move in which he can go invincible whenever he wants. And if he does that at the beginning, we kind of have to wing it and get a back cry reaction command to kill him. And if not, the ghost can kill you in 2 shots.
Yeah, one of the dangerous things in this fight is the bowling balls that Pete throws. You need to either guard them back at him or run far enough away and jump over them so that they'll stop chasing you. And as you saw there, they do a lot of damage, so Riz immediately used a potion after one hit him and is doing a really good job of deflecting all the rest.
Yeah, at this point, he's just going to ride out the rest of the fight. The fight won't end if you bring him to 1 HP or combo him at all. It's completely timed.
He actually spawned a 3rd wave of enemies, which is not...
That's really early, by the way. My God.
It does not happen very often.
Like, spawning the 3rd wave is like a rare occurrence, and he got like a full 5 seconds out of him.
Do you need serious time for this?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'd like to remind everybody to please be quiet during this fight.
Oh boy. That ghost is on the ground, so it might not destroy me here. Oh, I got another back cry. Oh, that was perfect. Oh. Nice. Okay. Good.
Riz is making us eat our words on these hard fights.
Yeah, keep in mind that like every single enemy in that room can 2-shot you, and he just kind of flew through it without taking a single hit. That's some good stuff right there.
It's a very rare occurrence for me, so I'm pretty happy with that.
And also, when we say that an enemy can 2-shot you, you can actually get comboed very easily in this game to the point where one enemy will hit you into another enemy using an attack, And until we get an ability later on in the game called Once More, you won't be able to survive that. So really getting hit once in that fight with that many enemies around can mean a death sentence.
All right, so we just finally got the limit called Trinity Limit, which we open the fight with. This fight has HP barriers, and we speed through it with Trinity spam to an extent. And basically, for this part, we only use the first 2 parts of Trinity Limit because that's all we need to hit this HP barrier. So now we enter the second part of the phase, in which he's going to destroy the 3 heads that pop up.
Get up on the Hydra's back.
I love memes.
I'm a big fan of memes too.
I'm speedrunning for the memes, actually.
So right after this head, he's going to basically go into another Trinity to try to set up for the next part of the fight.
Most of Riz's positioning there is very optimized and is actually very specific. He wants to be able to finish a head with Vanquish right so that he can use a sliding dash into the next head. It's very small optimizations like that that happen throughout the entire run.
So there are 3 head patterns that you can get, and he did get the worst one, but it's looking like he's in mode.
Oh my god. Don't feel goofy, please.
Okay.
All right, so this is still questionable. He's going to have to do all 3 phases and get enough hits with them.
Yeah, this is not a common occurrence for
Yeah.
both party members to die.
Yeah, it doesn't happen to me like ever, so I wasn't sure what to do. Okay.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay. That was a good fight then.
Yeah, so to be clear, he only had 2 potions to work with there, so he couldn't bring Goofy back. He had to hope Dolan was going to bring out that clutch heal. So
Yeah.
To note, that tail would have killed him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick to note on that as well, Group Trinity. Trinity actually has two modes, which is Group Trinity, which requires both Donald and Goofy, and Solo Trinity, which you'll be seeing later on in the run. Group Trinity requires both of your party members to be alive. So Donald dying there, which on its own is pretty rare, and then Goofy immediately dying afterwards is incredibly unlucky, and Riz handled it beautifully. Luckily, Donald did heal Goofy.
Yeah.
Also, after finishing 2 out of 3 worlds, you're forced to do this section right here where he visits the 100-acre wood, the Winnie the Pooh world. This is where he's going to get his first summon, Chicken Little, and it's not quite that important to describe what he does right now, but you're going to be seeing quite a lot of usage of Chicken Little later on in the run.
Definitely for my segment is a lot of Chicken Little spam, and we'll explain it when we get there.
Yeah, this visit and the follow-up immediate second visit to 100-acre wood are the only visits we'll be making in the game, in the run, rather.
Also, he just equipped your second Keyblade for the game, the Hero's Crest. Well, the second one you're using. So, just a much stronger Keyblade and is really good at air combos.
That's a big reason why we go to OC for the better Keyblade. Trinity Limit is also kind of nice to have right about now, but it's not quite as essential. Hero's Crest is probably the big thing.
That was another death abuse, by the way, to speed up the fight. You get one-shotted by Cyclone, so we basically just baited it out by hitting the soldier with a slide dash. And a lot of people wonder why we don't change Keyblades up until this point, and that's because the one you get from Mulan World's terrible.
Hidden Dragon's like the worst Keyblade in this entire game, I'm not joking.
Yeah.
What's even its ability that
it has
gets?
MP Rage.
MP Rage, yeah.
Sick.
It has 2 strength. It's worse than Kingdom Key. It's bad.
Nice.
People at home, please do not equip this Keyblade. It is bad.
All right, and with that, our next Disney, again, we're singing the top 6 Disney songs. We decided we were going to do 5, but we decided to extend it to 6 for you guys that you donated for. So with that, my favorite from the movie Beauty and the Beast, which the world we're going to right now, Gaston. Who does she think she is? That girl is tangled with the wrong man. Yeah, darn right. No one says no to Gaston. Dismissed, rejected, publicly humiliated. Why, it's more than I can bear. More beer? What for? Nothing helps. I'm disgraced. Who, you? Never. Gaston, you've got to pull yourself together. Gosh, it disturbs me to see you, Gaston, looking so down in the dumps. Every guy here'd love to be you, Gaston, even when taking your lumps. There's no man in town as admired as you. You're everyone's favorite guy. Everyone's awed and inspired by you, and it's not very hard to see why. No one's slick as Gaston, no one's quick as Gaston, no one's neck is incredibly thick as Gaston, for there's no man in town half as manly. Perfect, a pure paragon. You can ask any Tom, Dick, or Stanley, and they'll tell you whose team they prefer to be on. No one's been like Gaston, a kingpin like Gaston. No one's got a swell cleft in his chin like Gaston. As a specimen, yes, I'm intimidating. My, what a guy, Gaston. Give 5 hurrahs, give 12 hip hips. Gaston is the best and the rest is all drips. No one fights like Gaston, douses lights like Gaston. In a wrestling match, nobody bites like Gaston, for there's no one as burly and brawny. As you see, I've got biceps to spare. Not a bit of him scraggly or scrawny. That's right, and every last inch of me's covered with hair. No one hits like Gaston, matches wits like Gaston. In a spitting match, nobody spits like Gaston. I'm especially good at expectorating. Pew, 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 10 points for Gaston. When I was a lad, I ate 4 dozen eggs every morning to help me get large. And now that I'm grown, I eat 5 dozen eggs, so I'm roughly the size of a barge. No one shoots like Gaston, makes those buttes like Gaston, then goes tromping around wearing boots like Gaston. I use antlers in all of my decorating. My, what a guy, Gaston. I am the booze kill.
Have we time for a quick donation?
Yeah.
Yes, a quick one.
Sure.
$25 from Suki Kaji. It's been too long since Kingdom Hearts made it to a GDQ, and I'm so glad so many members of the Kingdom Hearts speedrunning community were able to make it to the event. I'm super stoked for this run and for the upcoming and current singing.
All right, so Riz came up with a slight variation to this opening strat. If you want to explain it real quick, Bloody.
This is based on a hit counter, so what Riz is going to do is go for the fires and use the drive explosion as well to take care of all the shadows. Sometimes you can nail it with the last drive explosion and instantly end it. He just required a couple more hits, that's all. He also picked up the Sardonyx ring. That's for extra strength and AP. He'll be equipping that later when he gets an extra accessory slot.
Biz will be equipping that later, actually.
Yeah. Pretty much near the beginning of my segment, we actually get that accessory slot to equip it. And like we said earlier, 1 strength point is pretty meaningful this early in the run.
Yeah, to note, this is actually, so again, we split this game up into three chunks. Riz is not running the whole game. However, again, these are the top 3 runners in the world. At this category. They have the top 3 times. So make sure before his name goes off of the page, and you guys don't forget, please, 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 everyone in the community feels this way. Go follow to Rizzle on Twitch. He streams for like 14 people, and he deserves way more than that, if nothing else for his GIF. So please go follow him at that page.
This has been like an incredible first segment of the run,
Yeah.
especially for a marathon run.
Yeah, Olympus Coliseum, like, I don't know, he's made, like, that Pete section, that Pete fight back there probably looked like, oh, what's the deal? Like,
Yeah.
that looked easy. Like, it's so easy. That's one of the worst fights in the game, it really is.
Don't worry, I'll find ways to die in my
Yeah, Biz will
segment
pick it
where,
up.
you'll see how hard crit can be.
And Bloody, I'll hand it off to you if you want to explain a little bit about this fight and our first usage of a summon.
All right. Chicken Little is basically a walking magnet, and he also throws firecrackers to stun enemies. The big issue here is that there are statues or gargoyles running around. They hit hard and make it really hard to actually deal with Thresholder. So Chicken Little's going to be kind of taking care of them for the most part, while Riz goes for Thresholder itself. He needs to do this part in 2 cycles, so this is the first. He's also killing, on the side, wow.
Oh, baby, the bonus.
Could I please get back cry every single time like that? Riz.
I never get it.
That was a really, really good fight.
Wow.
Can I just keep going? I might PB with this.
So we're going to have a category on the leaderboards for co-op percent.
Very serious category.
The most optimized of categories.
Very competitive.
All right, this next section is a pretty simple minigame where he just has to light 3 light lanterns, so we don't really have much to say, so we could just go for donations here as well.
And donations going for we shall go for. But before that, I'll make a quick mention of our wonderful donation incentives we have on the board right now. So many of them have been met, including Ocarina of Time Child Dungeons Blindfolded, which will be done by Runner Guy. But we also have, which have not yet been met, the Super Smash Bros. Melee Tournament Finals, as well as a speedrun of Adventure Mode in Melee, will happen after Ocarina of Time during bonus stream. That needs to get to $20,000, and it is currently at about $2,500. So if you want to see those Melee finals and that Adventure Mode speedrun, then you've got to put those donations in for that. As well as for Ocarina of Time, there will be a glitch exhibition when we reached $25,000 for that. We're currently at about $15,500. So if you want to get in on that action after the end of Ocarina of Time, then that is what should happen. Also coming up soon is Final Fantasy VII, and you have the opportunity to participate in a bid war for naming the main party characters of Final Fantasy VII. So that's all the cool guys, Cloud, Tifa, Red, 13, all those cool fellas. You can choose who they will be called. And as well, the last one, there is a donation incentive of $3,000 for defeating Sephiroth with the optional Omni Slash as the final blow. Gotta love that. And that needs just about $1,100 more to go.
This is a pretty interesting fight. Beast is very hard to stagger, so we use a reaction command to stun him so we get free combos, and then basically we just one-cycle him like that. Pretty simplistic fight to do it like that.
After this menu, he's also going to do a save warp. The next part of this world that he needs to go to is Belle's room, which is on the entire other side of the castle. But what you can do is you can actually just access the world map via the save point to his left, and then go straight to Belle's room, because there's another save point right there, and this saves a lot of time just walking there.
Also, I just want to say, a lot of people, I'm sure, are sitting at home like, damn, he is doing those menus really fast. The menus in this game feel really, really good to do. They're unbelievably responsive. So, you know, we just got it down to muscle memory, obviously, at this point.
Optimized menus are very fun.
Yes. Shoutouts to Agrabah menu. That's the biggest menu in the entire game.
Yeah, in the other game you could have donated for between these two, 1.5. I love speedrunning 1.5, I really do. However, the menus in that game don't feel nearly as good. You have to take about a 45-minute break in between each input to make sure stuff isn't dropped.
Exactly 45 minutes.
Make all the sandwiches you want.
Which the 2.5 menu is actually also like that. It seems to be a PS3 thing.
Right.
To explain this fight a little bit, there's 2 different ways you can open it. If you stand still or move forward, he will go into the wall, but if you move backwards, he actually goes into the ground, which actually speeds up the fight a little bit. And we have the ability to quick kill him before he does go into the wall if we don't whiff any hits.
Little subtle thing you might have noticed there. Well, that's actually...
Nice.
Yes!
He got windowless, yeah.
So that's important because him not going in the window there is going to make the opening of the second phase of this fight much easier. Or just, well, yeah, gives him a better chance. Although the opening of this fight is still terrible. Mainly because these little black shadow orb things that fly around everywhere. They're all throughout the first part of the game, and they're terrible. Yeah, see, as you can see. So it kind of forced him into a panic mode there. He has to use Beast Limit. The damage is a little higher than he probably would have liked it, but he can make this work.
Yeah.
And this is the usage of upper slash, a very good technique there. Let's see if we can get him here. Ooh.
Nice.
Out of curiosity, can we get a time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's the best I've ever done. So.
That's a very good
That is, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so this is actually going to be, I believe, ending Riz's first third of the game, which means
Oh, you unplugged my controller.
Well, cutscene
okay.
for set.
All right.
My bad.
So we're entering.
We're instantly not on world record.
So I'm gonna
Skip.
Can you skip this one? Yeah, we were. Yeah, if the console wasn't so far, we were actually planning to do it while we transition to the world map.
Yeah. How's the mic thing gonna work for me? Yeah.
I got this for the meantime, don't worry.
Okay. Because
Stay tuned.
It's not too difficult to navigate my way.
yeah, I think I can make it to the.
I don't need this.
Oh.
I just don't want to step on your wire.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Something to note is we use different customization shortcut controls and config controls, so I'll be switching that real soon in a menu we usually don't do. And then Bloody, when he jumps on, we'll have to do a different menu too.
So a little game mechanic we haven't really touched on is that you can actually only open the menu when you're outside of battle. So anytime that command menu in the bottom left is not at its neutral color, which is blue for most worlds, I believe, you actually can't open the menu. It'll just pause. So he has to make sure he's not in a fight in order to be able to change those controls.
All right, so now we have escorts, everyone's favorite game mechanic in the world. Honestly, what he does is he just sends Mini a certain amount of distance and then uses Holy to keep them enemies away from him. You can do it, you can segment it pretty well to keep enemies off of Mini and do it a little bit optimally. If you take a little bit too long, Mini will throw a Pearl and that takes a little bit of time.
A little sketchy.
Yeah, she's much more prone to using her Pearl in this first fight, just with it being a smaller corridor. This next fight, however, Biz needs to actually pay very close attention to how much experience he has, because he actually wants to do a little bit of grinding here, technically, to make sure he gets to level 12 and he's within 500 EXP of level 13, which is denoted in the top left corner of this screen.
That's to get to level 14 before the boss fight of this world, which also yields another. You're kind of noticing a trend. He wants to get strength increases before bosses. That's incredibly. The big thing is strength increases in this game. Increase it by 2 at a time instead of 1. And if you can see how much 1 does, then 2 is equally. It's a lot of damage. So there you go.
Riz did really well in a segment, so we're pretty good on EXP overall. Just got to kill a few more bolt towers. Like, we have to go down here anyway, so why not kill bolt towers on the way, right?
Yeah, it's sort of a technique you're almost using where you're kind of trying to push the bolt towers up against the wall to keep them, like, not from flying terribly far away. And with that, cool.
Yep.
Another thing to note is that if you try, simply running all the way to the end of the room and calling Mini over, she will either get hit or stop to attack or both, and most likely will do both a lot. So it's actually fastest to move that short amount of distance to get the maximum movement out of Mini, and then using her reaction command Faith in order to get her to move again.
Yeah, so this menu is going to be a bit slow because we don't usually do that menu.
Yeah, normally this menu is just equipping the Sardonyx ring, which you bought in Beast Castle. But again, we have 3 different runners here. You really can't go through the game without having very specifically planned out what your customized menu is. There's a lot of spells and whatnot that are items that you need to use as quickly as you can. So actually mapping through the menu is pretty rough. Having them there just at a hotkey is the best idea. And with that, I don't know if anybody else agrees with me. I think this is the best world in Kingdom Hearts 2. I love the theme of this world.
I definitely agree.
I guess I agree too.
You better.
By unanimous decision.
You are literally surrounded.
I hate all the fights, though.
That's also true, though.
All right, so coming up is a boss fight.
Oh, is that what you call this?
Yeah.
It is a boss fight.
I guess you could call it a boss fight. I don't know. This is where you put hits together and then you kill an enemy.
Very difficult fight.
And then it shines and sparkles and it's slow-mo and stuff and it's really cool.
So we didn't finish that first combo because doing that wouldn't have killed him and just sent him really far away.
Nice boss fight.
Yeah. Same concept. So basically, this is a Dusk with more health.
Pretty much.
And to note that we make that look really easy, but that boss fight, when you send him kind of flying away, he can start running around fairly uncontrollably unless you use his RC. So it can just really elongate the fight. You're not necessarily at the highest risk of dying, but you can very easily just lose a lot of time. So killing him quickly is better.
And here we get more usage of Chicken Little. First thing he's doing, like, it's nice to want to have Chicken Little, but also just to get the other party members out of the fight.
Oh, man.
Also, this is really hard because this RC is actually broken in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. So you saw actually a negative side effect there of Chicken Little because he whistled the enemies away from you.
Yeah, Chicken Little kind of ruined this a little bit for me, so I gotta do this.
Okay. Little slow, but that fight actually can get really dangerous once all of them get away from you. So that's good he was able to recover like that. You actually are going to see Chicken Little use throughout the first 3 of these window fights. And just all of them once again. It's not... Biz has to do a little bit of slight movement manipulation in order to manipulate Chicken Little in the correct way to draw them towards you.
Yeah, Chicken Little's whistle is based on the distance you are away from enemies. So you need to make sure you're in the right spot.
In addition, one of the other reasons we use Chicken Little during these windows is that the room you return to, where the cornerstone is, you actually lose your party members, you know, in that they are walking around individually, and because of that, you actually get your drive gauge refilled. And so we're able to summon Chicken Little 3 fights in a row without having to build back our drive gauge.
And Bloody, do you want to describe why the heck he used that at the end?
Oh, yeah. FPS, he just used Chicken Little's limit. It was mostly just for the summon experience. Summons level up via the gauges that are consumed. So like how much was taken off there? He took off like probably about 2 or 3, so that's 3 summon EXP. He wants to get to level 2 before a fight in Port Royal, so he's kind of starting to get experience right now.
This is by far the most dangerous window.
Oh yeah, window 3, this is where there are cars. If anybody remembers cars, they're dangerous and they hurt, and they punch you.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, these hot rods were like the first like truly dangerous, just normal enemy you encountered in the game.
Yeah, we got someone level 2 really, really early, so that's nice.
And as you can see, that little technique, it was the same thing Riz used on the Shadow Thorn, the boss of Beast Castle. Upper slash, it really makes a nice way to kind of connect into an aerial hit, making for a very long combo. All right, so very good fight there by Biz.
Right there, you saw the other move that Chicken Little was very useful for, especially in that window, almost only in that window. Chicken Little could actually throw a baseball, which will stun the hot rods there from using their charge attack. And as you saw, when Biz saw that, he immediately jumped into an aerial combo. Something you need to react to, but is incredibly helpful for that window. Bloody, do you want to explain what he's going to be doing here with the Trinity and why he's going to be facing the wall?
Right. He wants to only use the Trinity finisher here because it'll just basically blow up all of the rapid thrusters. He didn't want to use Chicken Little here because it actually carries over into this next section. As you saw, Chicken Little just kind of disappeared after each window fight, but in this one in particular, it stays, and you don't want that because he wants to use Valor Form right here. And that'll carry over into this part where having a second Keyblade actually increases the damage output of reaction commands. So the trash that Pete throws, he only has to go through one cycle of that as opposed to 2 cycles with normal Sora. There's also a chest to his left right here. It's gonna hold a synthesis item. You would wonder why in the world you'd get that, but if you actually if you turn that into the Moogle, he'll give you a free elixir, and that's the only elixir that you get in the entire run, which we'll be saving for the final boss. And that's the fastest one you can get, since it basically wastes no time, since you're waiting for the crane.
So really good luck here can equal you being able to defeat this guy in 2 phases. Yeah, so there's really nothing you can do about that. You could YOLO there, but if he knocks you off, which can happen if it swings you around while you're in the middle of a finisher per se, then it'll knock you off, and you have to fight Heartless. It wastes a bunch of time. You don't want to do that. So that's why after the first 2 finishers, he only used 2 empty hits after that. And with that, I hate this fight as well.
Oh, this fight
He is always
awful.
a terrible boss
Pete,
fight.
yeah.
This fight can almost kill you at complete random at certain parts.
This is the fight that I was mentioning earlier where Counter Guard actually breaks him. You're going to be seeing a technique where he's going to slide into Pete's fist, and then that actually counts as you like deflecting something. So from there, he actually used guard there, but you can just counter guard, and it literally just stuns him out of anything that he's going to do. So you're going to be seeing a lot of mileage out of that.
So I'm using a single part of Trinity here just to quickly get through this phase. For whatever reason, it does a lot of damage on this phase. I genuinely have no idea why, but it's only this phase where it does that much damage. So I was actually really lucky that it ended that.
And that's something we haven't mentioned
Video
about
combo.
kind of how Group Trinity works. The individual pieces, of which there are 3 for Group Trinity, don't actually do any damage to any enemies, but they rack up a certain number of hits, and those hits increase the amount of damage the finisher does. So that's why sometimes he'll only use 1 piece of Trinity or up to 3 pieces of it.
There we go.
Okay, nice.
So that was a pretty solid world for me. I usually don't do this well in this world.
I support applause there. I can't, though. I've literally got my hands full.
Do we have time for a very quick donation?
Of course.
It's rather special, I will say. $1,285 from Jay Hobbs, saying, this is from our awesome community who helped get several of the runners to AGDQ. Put this towards Toji Sucks as the name of Tifa in Final Fantasy VII. Here's to an awesome 2015.
So.
That's actually from the Kingdom Hearts community. Just want to make sure I put that out there. It's not from me individually. But we love our community, and they did a really good job of getting all of our runners here.
And on that note, I hold off on that Disney song for just a second. We have another gummy mission later on, but I think we actually want to make an announcement of some sort. Yeah. One of our absolute favorite community members had her birthday today. So I instead of a Disney song, how about instead we have a little happy birthday?
Happy birthday to Kiwi Justice.
Kiwi. So, yeah.
3, 2, 1. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kiwi. Happy birthday to you. Yeah!
She had no idea we were going to do that.
Yeah. By the way, this is probably the easiest gummy mission in the entire run. We usually use this as a bathroom break gummy mission. We can leave for almost the majority of it and come back just
You
fine.
can literally leave the controllers lying around for like a minute 30 and you will not die.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we're coming up on another least favorite world of mine. It has a lot of really tough fights that can just kill you at random.
Yeah, this gummy mission for me was the one that my goal is to get a 0 score. You might notice he has a 1 on it right now. If anything hits you, you get a point. If they hit one of the little sidecars that you have on your gummy ship, that's worth 100. So that's the general goal here, I think, for other people who play the game. If you're not using it for bathroom break time, just try to carry that 0 score all the way to the end.
Yeah, we don't shoot much in the gummy missions because we don't want to get too good of a score and get like extra blueprints and stuff.
Yeah, extra blueprints actually scroll across the screen, so it's kind of to your advantage to suck, quote unquote, during gummy missions.
Sure. And Riz, I know you explained it to me pretty well because it actually isn't really mapped to your score, what gives you blueprints.
I'm pretty sure it's different for every mission what gives you blueprint, and I have no idea what a mission does.
Okay,
I just
never
know
mind.
if you don't do well, you don't get them. So.
Okay, cool.
Just don't kill stuff, yeah.
Just don't kill too much.
Yeah. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and take the rest of this gummy mission. Just read off a couple donations.
Very, very well. Before I do that, I will again mention our wonderful donation incentives coming up. We have $2,500 out of a $2,000 goal, $20,000 goal, excuse me, for Super Smash Bros. Melee Grand Finals of the tournament that's been going on here at AGDQ 2015, as well as a speed run of Adventure Mode in Melee that will happen after Ocarina of Time if we meet the goal. We are at about $2,500 out of a $20,000 donation goal. So if you want to see some wonderful Smash, then put in your donations toward that. Also, we have an Ocarina of Time glitch exhibition that will completely turn upside down our beloved Nintendo 64 title. We are currently at $15,500 out of a $25,000 donation goal for that. So if you're interested in seeing Ocarina of Time get glitched out of all control, then donate for that. Also coming up soon, we have Final Fantasy VII, and you have the opportunity to participate in a bid war for the character names of the main characters in the party of Final Fantasy VII. So Cloud, Barrett, all those other cool folks. You can choose to name them. In addition to that, we are at $1,900 out of a $3,000 goal for defeating Sephiroth with Omnislash. So if you want to see that Omnislash go down on the winged gentleman, then put that toward it.
All right, so welcome to Port Royal. Right off the bat, again, it's more Chicken Little. The next two fights are actually, I think we like two of my favorite looking fights in the game. So let's see how they go for them.
This first part's just a hit
Not
counter.
that one.
Yeah, that's
I mean, that was
sick
pretty cool.
scratch.
That was an amazing fight.
Amazing. He did so well.
I thought that was gonna fail for a second.
Pirates are weak to magic, as you can see.
Very, very weak to magic.
Which is nice because pirates are actually incredibly strong in this game. You do not want to mess with them. So Chicken Little definitely is going to help out a lot in this. This is probably
Chicken Little is
shining
almost used
world.
at all times in this entire world to kind of keep pirates in check.
Yeah. Usually in my runs, if I have like a first death, this world usually takes the cake for that.
This is also
Not like fights like these though. These ones aren't too bad.
This is also another style and fight.
Nice.
Hey, that doesn't always kill that last hit for whatever reason. So just a little subtlety about that fight, just to show the specificity of these combos and how, like, I don't know, just how specific they are to work. Right there in that opening wave with the shadows, he did a 3-hit combo ending in the finisher, which killed them, and then actually went straight into a fire, which because of finishing plus, that made the fire count as a finisher, which knocked away that second wave of Heartless, and then triggering Chicken Little to draw them back in for the next few fires. So it's really cool just how the comboing system actually connects together really well if you have the fights planned out. And you also saw there at the end when he was walking out of that last loading zone, he actually used FPS again with Chicken Little, which again gave him 2 or 3 free EXP points, which is important once again for an upcoming fight in this world.
All right, so this is an ambush. It actually, You have the choice of running inside the ship to skip this, or actually fighting it out. That first one is much faster to just kill them all really quickly. He'll do another one later on. It's a little bit slower, but the EXP from pirates is actually pretty high in this game, so it's worth it to take the EXP for a level later on that he wants to reach.
And if you didn't get enough of them, time for some more Chicken Little.
Oh. A lot of people will probably, well, I mean, most everybody playing this game for the first time probably just ignored summons, like, entirely.
I had no idea what they did.
You didn't know that they existed in the first place, but especially in a category like this, where you need mob fights like to be kind of like, you know, stunned like that. Chicken Little is incredibly useful. So next time you're playing this game, give him a shot because he's kind of cool.
Yeah, the game doesn't do a good job of telling you what summons do. Oops.
Yeah, especially later on, we'll be getting a spell called Magnet. Magnet doesn't quite, but almost makes Chicken Little obsolete. That's the main reason we use him throughout the early game, is because of that whistle move. And Magnet lets us do some pretty cool stuff later on.
So this is the same sort of fight as like the summit fight back in Land of Dragons or Mulan World, for people who prefer that. He's just trying to survive for a minute. However, he gets a ton of money and EXP from this fight. And again, Blizzard and Chicken Little combo destroys these guys. However, because of how powerful they are, there is the... you can actually die in this fight very easily. So that was, again, like really good reactions by Biz, always guarding those shots from afar.
That was a lot of kills, by the way.
Yeah, that was really good.
I usually don't kill that many.
I'm predicting 7 ethers.
Now is the worst segment of the world.
So in this ambush, he's just going for the EXP real quick.
Yeah, so there's a fight immediately after this ambush that Chicken Little will be carried over into, so he's going to be useful there as well.
Yeah, he'll basically be able to start a completely new strat just because Chicken Little's active.
Yeah, you at level 2 and timeless, so.
Wow.
Yeah, you have a lot of Chicken Little to work with.
That's really not common, so I might play this really safe if it goes wrong.
So to again note, leveling up your summons as well as those drive forms increases the number of bars you get with the summon, I believe, or at the very least decreases the amount of time in which it moves down. And because of that, it means that you can have Chicken Little out longer. And at the end of this fight, we actually want to continue to have Chicken Little out in order to get maximum drive gauge again. Otherwise, he'll end up with 0 and have to be using a drive recovery.
And yeah, Biz is right now in the middle of one of the worst fights in the game, so we'll give him serious time from here.
Yeah, he's going to try to stay really far away from those circles that are appearing on the ground. Because if you get hit by a cannonball that lands there, it kind of locks Chicken's Little AI into using firecrackers only and never using the whistle, and that can be pretty bad sometimes. It also does a lot of damage, so it's not good to get hit anyway.
Yeah, he has trouble with these guys for some reason sometimes.
These pirates, by far, are probably the worst because of that. They can throw bombs and then be exploded by their own bombs, and from there, they're kind of... You can't really combo them or stun them while they are just blowing around.
That was not a good idea. I'm not playing this as safe as I said I would.
Yes, okay, that was a great fight. That's what,
And I just want to mention real quick, this next fight is the worst. It just rando kills you sometimes.
Yeah. And that previous fight, he did end up with like 2 bars left of Chicken Little. If he hadn't hit summon level 3, you ordinarily end in the last bar of it and are at a pretty high risk sometimes of not actually having Chicken Little at the end of the fight, which means he would not have 3 drive gauge right now.
I guess one last thing about summons is they can be hit by enemies, and when they are, your gauge goes down by a lot. You can lose like a full bar of summon gauge if they get hit by attacks, and that's often what happens in that last fight with Chicken Little, and you got really good luck in this part, so.
Very nice.
So from here, he's just going to be running straight to Barbossa. Barbossa, I guess as a little spoiler, he's really interesting. He works just like other pirates. and as you saw, pirates are also incredibly weak to magic. So I think I'll just kind of like let the fight speak for itself.
Yeah, it depends where like the Illuminator spawns. If it spawns in a really bad place, you're gonna have to like really wing it and react and hope a Barbossa staggers properly, or else you're probably gonna die. It's like a kind of a scary fight, you know.
Okay.
So in addition to being able to die in this fight, Jack Sparrow can actually die, which will also make you lose the fight. So making sure that he only gets hit really at the beginning there is pretty important. But once we get out of Valor form, we tend to just use Blizzard and wreck the fight.
Oh no. Yeah, he turned into Roxas for one finisher. That was pretty scary.
Another instance of seeing magic being used as a finisher in order to end the fight. If he had continued to use this combo, it would have taken him, I believe, 2 more hits.
It could have pushed him into darkness too.
And yeah, he might have retaliated.
All right, so we're going to be going to Agrabah first. As we've mentioned for the entirety of the run up to now, our movement is basically just to go faster. It's via Valor form or a drive form in general. But here, what we're going to be doing is going to be leveling up Wisdom form to get quick run, which will be our main mode of going faster, of having faster movement. So that's why we go to Agrabah first rather than Halloween Town.
Yeah, and I believe before that we have our next song.
Sure. Yeah, and I guess the biggest thing I'll note about this gummy mission, it's the other like super scary gummy mission, so he has to play it kind of safe near the end on the boss. But the fourth of the 6 Disney songs that you guys donated for the most was "Friend Like Me," Genie's song from Aladdin. So here we go. Again, my throat's really sore, so go easy on me. Well, Alibaba had them 40 thieves, Scheherazade had 1,000 tales. But master, you're in luck, 'cause I'm up your sleeves. You got a brand of magic never fails. You got some power in your corner now, some heavy ammunition in your camp. You got some punch, psow, yahoo, and house. Yeah, all you gotta do is rub that lamp, and I'll say, Mr. Aladdin, sir, what will your pleasure be? Let me take your order jotted down. You ain't never had a friend like me. Life is your restaurant, and I'm your maitre d'. Come on, whisper what it is you want. You ain't never had a friend like me. Yes, sir, we pride ourselves on service. You're the boss, the king, the Shah. Say what you wish, it's yours, true dish. How about a little more baklava? Have some of column A, try all of column B. I'm in the mood to help you, dude. You ain't never had a friend like me. Burn out now. Wah not wah. Oh my. Wah not wah. No, no. Wah not wah. My. Back chicka chicka. Can your friends do this? Can your friends do that? Can they jiggle? I don't know. Can your friends pull this out of the little hat? Can your friends go poof? Well, looky here. Can your friends go abracadabra, let her rip, and then make a sucker disappear? So don't just sit there slack-jawed boogie out. I'm here to answer all your midday prayers. You got me bona fide certified. You got a genie for charge of affairs? I got a powerful urge to help you out, so what you wish, I really want to know. You got a list that's 3 miles long, no doubt. Well, all you gotta do is rub like so, and oh, Mr. Aladdin, sir, have a wish or 2 or 3. I'm on the job, you big nabob. You ain't never had a friend, never had a friend. You ain't
never had a friend, never had a friend.
You ain't never
had a friend like me.
Wah, 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 bah, doo, doo, wah, bah, doo. You ain't never had a friend like me. Pooh. Yeah. Thank you all for donating. Right. And so going off of what, well, I guess to note in this first fight here, it's time to die again. A lot of these fights, they end in one of three ways. It's either going to end from you taking enough damage, so the game's going to push the storyline along. You deal enough hits, which is usually very high in these fights. You saw one of the exceptions was Beast Castle, where we actually used that at the beginning on the Shadows, is because you could deal a lot of hits very quickly.
Yeah.
Or if you just deal enough, or if just enough time has passed by to where the fight will end automatically. Again, there, one attack will provoke those Luna Bandits into killing you very quickly. Also, good luck. This is the hardest menu in the game.
Very difficult. It's also my favorite menu, by the way.
That's such a good menu.
Yeah.
All right, so Bloody, if you want to go back into what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Earlier,
So he's going to be going into Wisdom form. I mean, it is also fast, but what he's going for is you level up Wisdom form via Heartless kills. And this is about the perfect time to do so because he's just going to be using the RCs from these little Silver Rock Heartless to kill a lot of Heartless really, really quickly. So he'll get a few here, and then he's going to get a lot right outside of Cave of Wonders. He wants to hit level 2 before entering the treasure room, where he'll make his big push to make it to level 2.
I'll just quickly go over some of the things we equipped in the last menu. The main one is the Reflect spell. The Reflect spell got a big damage buff in Final Mix, so it's going to be used a lot in this run, especially in the coming fight.
Yeah, and throughout this run, you might have noticed we're
I'm
not
actually
really,
going to re-enter this room.
you might have noticed we're not really doing pretty much any optional Heartless killing unless
This
it's
might
faster.
kill me, but it's not a big deal either way.
This is one of the few exceptions this world because of the Wisdom form grinding and the easy ability to be able to kill so many Heartless so quickly. Wisdom, most of the time, anytime we do an optional fight is because it's faster than doing, you know, the alternative form of avoiding that fight, or because we need to grind for one of our forms. Rarely do we actually do it for the experience gain that Sora gets, but we will explain later one of the key places where that does happen.
Also, while this silly little mini game is going on, I want to kick it over to Riz, since Riz has so much knowledge about the difference between the original Kingdom Hearts 2 and Final Mix. Kind of how the leveling is a little bit different here for the Wisdom form.
Yeah, so in the non-Final Mix versions of KH2, to get the Quick Run ability requires 80 Heartless kills. In Final Mix, they lowered that to 36. So it's a huge difference, and it allows you to very easily get Quick Run just in the run without spending forever grinding for it.
A KH2 English speedrun doesn't really have the luxury of that. They can't really just go for quick run, so they can't use this strat like Final Mix is allowed to.
Now that he has Reflect, he's just going to keep provoking enemies into attacking.
And that's how much damage Reflect does.
Yeah. One shots these guys.
Reflect is probably the most broken spell in this game, followed closely by Magnet.
So there he just wants to circle that Fat Bandit and bait out a move and then kind of react to it. You can either shoot a fireball at him, which you could guard back and then use a reaction command, or you could do the flamethrower and just run around it. Here, an interesting little thing, we're abusing this guy attacking you constantly, so we just reflect everything and do lots of massive damage to kill all the small guys, as well as the Fat Bandit.
Yeah, and we use Blizzard there to provoke the attacks because normal attacks just bounce off of his stomach, but Blizzard actually hits him.
Can't do this way.
Missed, I expect one more dollar there.
Yeah.
That's
Aerial
at least
Spiral
33 cents, like a part of Aerial Spiral Lift.
Next fight's pretty terrifying. I'm not saying I need like serious time, but there's probably a lot to explain in it.
Right. And this is where he'll get Quick Run level 3 just by, well, you're going to see there's a lot of really tiny Heartless that get killed very, very quickly. So this is the ideal fight. Like, this is kind of where the idea was spawned of getting Quick Run in the first place by Sonic Shadow Silver too. At the end of it, though, in this really, really small space right here, he's going to have to fight three fat bandits, so he's going to have to use a combination of Reflect and Trinity Limit to be able to kill all of them safely. It's going to require a lot of precise timing as well on the Trinity Limit.
It can be really hard to react because there's so many little Heartless on screen. He's trying to react to all of them for when to reflect. Because if he just throws up a reflect randomly, a lot of times it'll just go up and nothing will happen. It has to actually reflect an attack by an enemy to deal the splash damage.
Also, in this fight, all of those small Heartless actually drop HP orbs, and because there are so many of them, you don't see him tend to use a potion when he gets hit by that. He knows that he's going to be killing enough to be able to most likely pick up enough HP.
Hopefully this kills him.
Good.
Nice. Okay.
That last part is terrifying because being in an enclosed space with three fat bandits that can almost one-shot you is ridiculous. So that has to kill them.
And to anyone who might not completely understand those, if you haven't played Kingdom Hearts, you can only deal damage to those enemies with normal attacks from behind on their backside. So, again, as Biz was saying there, being in that enclosed space with three of them where you can only hit them from the front or from behind and they deal all that damage is pretty terrifying. So he executed that fight very well. And even the reflect phase in the beginning went very smoothly.
It isn't common at the start to quickly defeat the little guys that spawn after every HP gate here. Good way to get through those first two phases.
This is one of those beautiful fights of Final Mix where you're Sora's starting to become a god, essentially. All these abilities are starting to come into your disposal, and the fights are just mapped out so well. Also, this guy's being an idiot.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to walk in those fire pools. They deal a lot of damage.
I was playing it safe there.
All right, very nice fight.
I know we've kind of touched on it a few times, but to be up through Agrabah 1 with 0 deaths is actually incredibly amazing so far.
Very unexpected, based on our practice run, yes.
I'm pretty sure everybody was just dying all over the place and really worried.
I think we had like 4 deaths up until this part. So we're on actually a really good pace.
I honestly would not have been that disappointed if we had 4 deaths to this point. Well, yeah, I was part of it. Yeah, I did it. Yeah. Yeah, I manipulated the RNG. Yeah.
Are we singing a song on this one?
Oh. Are we doing one?
Can I have my water right there?
Yes, totally forgot about
This is another gummy mission in which I can just kind of like idle for most of it, but you know, to be safe, I'm gonna just pay attention.
This is also the last gummy mission for a while, actually. This is 6 out of 7, and for a while now, it's just gonna be hopping straight from world to world.
There won't be another mission for about another hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the pace of the run starts picking up now where we don't have any more breaks after this gummy mission.
Would you actually mind getting up? I was just trying to think of the easiest way to do this.
Get out.
So everyone
Remove
should go
J-Hubs.
follow this is one of our friends, Kung Fu Fruit Cup. She speedruns. She plays a lot of cool games, including the Kingdom Hearts on her stream. And dang it.
Oh, I have it on mine.
Oh, you have it in yours?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's bust it out.
Just so you all know, I have had my voice kind of go out this week, but I still want to give this a shot, so we will be tag teaming the song together.
Yeah, we
It's
each
gonna
have
be
we each have half a throat, so let's go for this.
Okay,
Okay.
so just go.
Sure, just go for it.
Sounds
I'll follow it. We'll go for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, remember, you got chorus, buddy.
Sure.
Okay. Oh, man, I've just been watching, so. The snow glows white on the mountain tonight, not a footprint to be seen. A kingdom of isolation, and it looks like I'm the queen. The wind is howling like this swirling storm inside. Couldn't keep it in, heaven knows I tried. Don't let them in, don't let them see. Be the good girl you always have to be. Don't conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. Well, now they know.
Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go, let it go. Yeah, everyone jumping. When slam the door. I don't care what they're going to say. Let the storm. Literally, everyone knows the song. The cold never bothered me anyway.
Funny how some distance makes everything seem small. And the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's time to see what I can do to test the limits and break through. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I'm free.
Let it go, let it go. I am one with the wind and sky. Let it go, let it go. You'll never see me cry. Here I stand, and here I'll stay. Let the storm rage on.
My power
Flurries through the air into the ground. My soul is spiraling in frozen fractals all around. And one thought crystallizes like an icy blast. We don't know. I'm never going back. The past is in the past. Ju, 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 ju. Let it go. Let it go. And I'll rise like the break of dawn. Let it go. Let it go. That perfect girl is gone. What? I'm not a girl. Here I stand in the light of day. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway. Yeah. And big shout outs to all my friends who came out to help us out with these Disney songs. I was going to try to power through it, but I had half a throat. So yeah, once again, go follow Kung Fu Fruit Cup on Twitch. She's awesome. And yeah, she does Kingdom Hearts. She speedruns, so she's cool. Yay. Yay, thank you. See you, KFC girl. Oh yeah, you want your phone? Oh, yeah, sure. Probably. I figured, it looked nice, so I figured I'd take it. See you, girl.
You're in it? Oh, Frozen in Kingdom Hearts 3 is the best meme ever.
No, don't. It's not worth it.
Don't.
Frozen.
You just
Frozen confirmed for
You
KH3.
just destroyed the chat. I'm pretty sure.
What about Star Wars?
Yeah,
By
what
the way, I
about
hate
Star
this
Wars
fight.
and Marvel?
Where's Marvel?
Wins Marvel. So while we're memeing over here, Biz is actually probably one of the hardest fights in this world, and probably one of my most difficult fights. But he's handling it like a champ.
Did it absolutely
So
perfectly. So that hit was intentional. He took the ability experience boost back in Agrabah, which doubles your XP gain if you're under half health, which allowed him to reach level 18 there.
We'll be using Experience Boost pretty extensively in this run, primarily in one location in Space Paranoids that we'll get to later. But it's incredibly helpful in order to get the levels that we want to. Also, Dance Call is Jack Skellington's limit right there. There's the first use, I think, of it. And it actually does quite a bit of damage. We'll be using it a lot throughout Halloween Town.
Dance Call is probably one of the last OP limits that the game actually has anymore.
Oh yeah, I love Dance Call. When it doesn't like whiff, it's really strong.
How many dollars is Dance Call whiffs worth? That's what I want to know from Mist. Yeah, I think, is Dance Call the most used limit in the game now? And
It's pretty close.
it gets like 6 uses, considering you come to this world twice.
Maybe
which is
Trinity,
crazy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Trinity,
Yeah,
sure.
probably group Trinity, yeah.
But unfortunately, both Donald and Oogie were nerfed pretty hard in Final Mix, so they're not used very much in the speedrun. Oogie's limits aren't used at all. Donald still has a couple of uses, like you saw in Twin Lords.
Yeah, any of you who might have been familiar with KH2 speedruns might have remembered seeing Knock, Smash, and Whirly Goof used everywhere. They do terrible damage in this version, so. All right, and Prison Keeper.
At least I won't get barrel, I think, in the next phase if this goes well.
So he's going to start this off with a dance call. There's actually a bunch of phases where Prison Keeper will change into form based on a bunch of the kids from Block Chakra. Each have their own individual phases, so they'll change into one of these and get shit. It's easy hits.
I'm pretty sure I hit it there, too.
No, you didn't. That was actually a pretty good one. This one.
Shocking's really hard to do there.
Oh, that was a poor choice there.
We're gonna do a couple combos here while he's waiting for his MP to refill.
I'll take it.
Yeah, that's fine.
The fight usually doesn't go that wonky, but I'm completely fine with that.
Dance Call from here should just take care of the fight.
Also, swag finish.
No.
I wish it was
consider any
easy
part
to
of
set
that
up.
ending, the swag fish. I'll take it. Sure, yeah, let's go ahead and pop in one donation on the way to Oogie Boogie.
Popping it in. $100 from Rory Extra Life. Good luck, guys. I hope you guys do me and the rest of the Kingdom Hearts community proud today.
Shout-outs to Rory.
Shout-outs to Rory. Donation goes to Runner's Choice. Also, Rebel, if you're about, I love your face.
Yeah, Runner's Choice is the Toji Sucks Tifa name, is it?
Yeah.
FF7. Also, thanks, Rory.
Should we do a roll call right now?
Sure. Yeah, I guess we're 2 hours into our game, so we should probably do another one. Anybody waking up with us? Welcome to early breakfast edition of AGDQ 2015. If the runner wants to go ahead and introduce himself.
I am Biscuit047.
Make sure to go follow him on Twitch, as well as the rest of us. We're cool. Hey, I'm Spike Vachita.
I am JHobs296, and this is Albert.
I'm Bloody Biscuits.
I am Trizzle.
And yeah.
And this is Oogie.
And I hate this fight, by the way.
Hi, Oogie.
It has a one-shot in it, and it can combo you to death real easy.
Yeah, that fist slamming down is a one-shot, so always have to be aware of where it is.
Yeah, do you want some serious time for this fight for the audio
I don't think
cues?
it's going to matter.
Okay. Yeah, there's a pretty obvious audio cue for each attack, so.
If I die, it's pretty much out of my control.
I guess to note about this fight, I believe there's no way to speed this up shorter than 3 cycles. If somebody could.
It's a 3-cycle.
Yeah.
It's also an incredibly dangerous fight because of the lightning and the punch and the Heartless that are going to come in bags.
Yeah, he's going to be summoning Chicken Little here in a moment in order to deal just really with the Heartless that end up spawning on this phase.
And even then, it's not the best solution, but it's really all that we have at this point.
Yeah, these Heartless can very easily combo you into one of Oogie's other moves, or just kill you themselves. So we hope that Chicken Little will do his best to keep them away, and then luckily have the fist kill them there.
A little early there. I'm going to be very safe here. Okay.
So we shouldn't go for the 1 frame now, because that'll send him to the wrong platform.
There actually is a 1-frame trick in this game, believe it or not, and it's in this fight. It saves roughly 5 seconds, I would say. Basically, during the transition between the 2nd and 3rd phase, you can press triangle at the right time and get sent to center stage. where usually you would have to wait for it to actually become normally visible. You'll kind of see it blink blue for like literally a frame here in a second.
Yeah, but he can't go for it because I went to the wrong platform earlier, so this one won't. It looks like it will, but still a lot of time it won't send to the right place. Oh man.
Oh, yeah, that one was different than what it should have been, I think. It's not a big deal when that happens, though.
Something to note that we've kind of touched on, but we haven't really said explicitly. Limits in this game will make you invincible for the duration. And because of that, he will often use limits during times where you're at a very high risk of getting hit. Just throughout the run in general, but especially right there, using Dance Call during the second phase of Oogie to make sure that the Heartless on the platform were not able to attack him.
Lightning here is kind of a weird hitbox. You can get clipped by it as you're running past it sometimes. And if that happens, it generally leads to deaths, unfortunately.
So it's random there if Oogie had actually stayed at the middle platform or not. So Biz just had to respond very quickly to if he made another move. Otherwise, he'll get stuck over on the other platform and not get to deal damage for a little while.
Uh-oh. I don't care.
Yeah, just filming him here was just to be safe. With the enemy spawned, it can be...
That was safe.
Nice. Yeah, that was good.
Hashtag didn't die.
Didn't die.
For reference, pretty much almost every practice run I did die in this fight, hilariously enough. So that's nice.
That's also one of the more time-consuming deaths in the game, especially if you die in the third phase. It is a very long fight. That and Hades' Escape are both notably very long. No death is, exactly great in this game, obviously, but some of the more notably long fights or ones with a long lead up to the fight are the ones you particularly want to avoid, and they're usually the hardest ones to not die in.
Yeah, I didn't actually put that together, but Biz in his section actually got a lot of the worst death spots. The boat fight, among others, and one really big one we're coming up on in a little bit. Bloody, do you want to go and explain the trash that is this fight?
Oh, good lord. Okay, well, there are 3 phases to this fight. You're going to be seeing the use of Magnet. We just picked this up. It's really kind of odd, this combo. A lot of people kind of see it and don't really understand what's going on. Magnet acts as a finisher by itself. So with Finishing Plus, since we can use 2, you can just use Magnet Finishing Leap and it does quite a bit of damage. Right here, what he's going to be doing is he's going to be going into Valor form for the extra damage off of this reaction command. He got a little bit of extra damage off of the Reflect Magnet Finishing Leap, and this is looking pretty good so far. All he has to do now is kind of round up these guys. It's really finicky, though, as you can see, they kind of drop out of it a little bit, but
Oh my god.
yeah, this is looking perfect.
This is disgusting. Oh.
Except for the one guy who decided, okay.
This is where I be safe, I hope. Oh boy. Okay.
Okay, great recovery though. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see how quickly that went from perfect to, oh my god, I'm about to die.
Yeah, and it's like it wasn't anything I did, it's just they fall out of the reaction command.
So those of you who might have noticed, Biz actually paused during the fight there for just a very short amount of time. In this game, when you use drive forms, the game actually has to load the data for the drive form from the disk. During that time, the enemies will move around while you're standing there in, just kind of one state of animation, waiting for the drive form to load. Pausing during that time means that the enemies won't move. Most of the time, we don't need to do it in Final Mix because the load is very long. But if we were playing this on, say, the 2.5 version on PS3, you actually pause for a good 2 seconds there, at least, due to how long it takes for drive forms to load. So you may notice in fights where there's a bit of a more tight timing that he will be pausing every now and then. And I don't think we've touched on anti-form yet, or anti-points. Is that something we want to maybe take this time to touch on?
Yeah, go ahead and say it now.
Yeah, this is a good spot to talk about anti-points. Well, you might be wondering, if we worry about anti-form or if we also nice swag.
How new is that, by the way? Real
I
quick?
just learned it before the run.
This strat was literally worked on 1 hour before this run.
It was a lot easier than I thought.
But yeah, anti-form is something that we want to avoid, and you might think that it's completely random and we're kind of just like hoping that it doesn't happen. We actually can calculate if anti-form will happen or not based on a bunch of different factors. There's actually kind of like an internal chart in the game that counts how many drive uses you've done. And the general rule is the more drive uses you've done, the higher chance of anti-form. But it actually really sections it off into like 0%, 25% chance and stuff like that. So as long as we stay like, we have like 0 through 5, or our first 5 drive uses are completely free. We don't have to worry about anti-form. And what's really huge is that once we get a new drive form, like when we got wisdom form, it actually resets to 0. So at that point we can start using drive forms again for free. The next drive form we're going to get a little bit later on is master form. Once we hit that, we aren't really going to get any new drive forms, so we have to really start like counting and keeping track of all of our drive usages because we're going to be using them in very critical spots and we don't want to have anti-form show up.
We also just got limit form, which is a drive form that was added into Final Mix. It was actually not in the original game. Limit form is a really cool form that's kind of a nod to the first Kingdom Hearts game. You have 4 limits that were all in that game at your disposal when you're in that form. We'll be seeing it throughout the run from here on out, and I guess during the first use we'll probably touch more on it. But that also means that the anti-form points were set down to 0.
Yeah, and Riz, I don't know if you want to go into detail about an old route where we actually leveled limit form instead.
Oh, yeah. In the past, before we figured out wisdom leveling, once we got limit form from the Berserkers fight, we would go to Agrabah. There's a place there where you can level up limit form. We'd get to level 3 and get dodge roll, but that wasted about 2 minutes. And we figured out later that wisdom form was better, and quick run is faster anyway, movement-wise, than dodge roll. So.
And with that, welcome to Tron World, otherwise known as Space Paranoids.
I hate this world.
Yeah, this is. There are worlds.
Tell me how you
don't think
really
that
feel,
bad.
Biz.
Light cycle is by far the most terrifying part of this world.
Yeah, another long death. One very last thing on anti-form is you actually, there are a few spots throughout the run where you cannot go anti-form. One of the most commonly used one is that if you are not actually in a fight, if you are using a drive form just during normal, out of combat usage, you will not go anti-form.
Yeah.
And so that's why most of the drive usages for movement throughout this run will be used before they enter a fight. Oftentimes at the very beginning of a room or right before entering a new room.
So I guess explain a little bit of that minigame that just went by. It's random where the box is going to originally spawn. It can appear right behind him, and as soon as he approaches it, it starts moving around. So you could possibly lose a little bit of time or gain a little bit of time right there. It is not random how many times it rotates around. For the most part, the box should end up about 2 or 3 spaces right of wherever it originally was after it's rotated 2 full times, or 2.1 rotations. I don't know, however you want to consider it. But yeah, so he can predict that pretty well.
That's a camera angle making no sense.
I did that on purpose.
And with that, so the game actually automatically gave you both Chicken Little and Genie, which you're going to see Genie here in a little bit, a couple times. Right there, it's optional if you wanted to pick up Stitch. And Stitch, coming up here very soon, is going to be utilized. And we'll explain him once we get there. But for now, time for light cycles. This is terrible.
Yeah, it's very long, and you cannot heal. And you take about 2 hits, and then the third will kill you, I think. So, yeah, you want to avoid getting hit. Luckily, where enemy spawn is consistent, so you can do the same inputs each time and be fine. It's just that first part is actually a little random.
It's the movement that's difficult to have the same movement every time.
Right.
Yeah, and if Biz had taken any hits in that, or just a hit, because after 2 hits you're dead. If he had taken a hit in that first phase, the health actually carries over to this one. So that's the big thing, is to make sure, because that fight's much more random, and you actually have to kill 5 of the space pornos heartless, whatever they're called.
Yeah, on top of that, the enemies in this light cycle are actually kind of a rock, paper, scissors situation. Some of the enemies, where the green enemies will guard, the orange enemies will charge at you, and the blue enemies will kind of attack. And there's also a white enemy that can use any of those moves. Because of this, you have to know how to react to each enemy and know that which ones to attack, which ones to charge, and whatnot. But more important than that is, of course, knowing where they will spawn and how many are going to spawn. So right now, Biz is doing a really good job of not taking any damage. Also, if you listen closely, you can hear a lot of the Heartless hitting the walls as he turns.
Oh, baby. I'm hyped.
Yeah, those shots just don't hit you.
Yeah.
Good job.
No damage.
Deathless Light Cycle is nice.
Yeah.
Again, some people are probably at home, like if you remember playing this game as a kid, and critical mode just changes everything, every bit of dynamic of your mentality going through this game. You might think, well, it was light cycle, whatever. If Biz was nice enough and had taken a hit for you right there, you would have seen how quickly you were at like 10% health.
Yeah.
And with that, it's time to show off the amazingness yet frustration that is Stitch. I don't know, who wants to explain what Stitch does?
I'll go for it.
Sure.
Stitch gives you constant MP refills, so you can have quote-unquote infinite MP with this guy. He also does a great job of deflecting projectiles and weak hits. So he's kind of your like ultimate tank right here, as you can see. What Biz is doing right here is he's in critical health for a specific reason. There's this ability called Experience Boost. Once you're under 50% health, you gain double EXP. And this is going to be kind of where we do an EXP grind for about 2 minutes. Well, more like 1:30. Basically, we're going to be getting a lot of levels right here. You don't get any more HP orbs here. And with Stitch giving you constant MP and keeping you safe, you get free experience really, really, really quickly. This is extremely important. First of all, we need to hit a certain level so that we don't do trip damage against hostile program. We'll be saving time there. And we also want to hit a certain level so that a fight later on will be sped up. If we do not hit a certain level, specifically level 30 before Genie Jafar, we automatically lose 30 seconds because of that. So all of this just kind of compounds together, just like how many levels we get so quickly right here.
Yeah, a good fight here will go from level 19 to level 24. So 5 levels just in this one spot.
In 2 minutes is kind of crazy.
It's by far the best place to get experience in the run.
To kind of contrast that, there have been worlds that we've gone through so far where you literally gain, I believe, 1 level. So to gain 5 in a minute and a half is
for example,
pretty
Beast
good.
Castle gives you 0 levels.
Yeah, so just let that sink in.
And we're done.
And again, there's a lot of stimulus going on the screen right now. There's just a lot of visual craziness going. Yeah, to get to level 24 and then also towards, no, he used 2 ethers. Just noticing how quickly he was getting all that EXP. You notice all the levels that were popping up on the top right of the screen. And also just noticing how often Stitch was, as we say, was licking him so that his MP was going back to full. Biz did have to use 2 ethers in that fight, but that's okay. Because those are routed, or those are in the route. You're pretty much planning on having to use them. And they are in case Stitch is just not licking you and not giving you the MP, which is random. He does it whenever he wants. Also right there, a little thing that I was dumb, I didn't know about. It might have looked like Biz shot too far out with Quick Run there. He was actually trying to spawn other Heartless so that, what are they called, the Devastators?
Devastators, yeah.
Yeah, it's so that a Devastator in the main part of that room does not spawn because they can one-shot you and kill you. And with that, he picked up the Gaia Belt there, which he'll be able to equip later on for more defense, which again is important because we are in critical mode. And good luck with hostile program.
Shoutouts to this awesome fight.
Oh.
Yeah. if anybody wants to explain kind of, I guess, how this fight's going to work.
Let's start off with Comet to quickly knock out a bunch of energy orbs so we can freeze hostile program. He's also going to go right into Master Form here. We just got this form. Master Form is really, really cool. It does an extreme amount of damage with air combos, as you'll see. So we're going to blast through this next phase with some Frozen and Master.
That little drop to the ground he did was actually intentional to restart the combo, to maximize all the damage he can do with Master
So we're in the
Form.
final phase of this boss fight now. That just happened.
Yeah.
And now he's dead.
Now he's going to die, thanks to this last comment. So I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but going into a drive form instantly heals you. So it gives you back all your MP and stuff. So he's able to go back into Comet right afterwards. That was a perfect fight.
That is like when you're learning this category, I'll say, as someone who's been learning it lately, that is the first fight where you're just like, oh man, I like this a lot. This is fun.
Now the most terrifying segment of my part.
Oh yeah.
Every fight from now on.
Yeah, just real quick on Master Form there. All the drive forms, like we said before, have their strengths. Master Form is only aerial combos. Even if you seem to be on the ground, you actually do aerial combos. And you also can chain magic indefinitely, so that's why it's very easy to kind of reset the combo there during that fight.
So I guess in terms of the storyline of the game, this is the big like middle point of the run, and this is actually kind of a big boss rush they're throwing at you, and kind of a lot of mob fights thrown in there as well. I just once again, kind of like we did with Riz, I want to make sure all of you guys go follow Biscuit047 on Twitch. He's an amazing streamer. He's one of the most well-respected runners in the community. Highly skillful. He would have been running 1.5 as well with me. Both very difficult categories. And he's top 3 in both of those games. So make sure you go give this guy a follow. Also, Kiwi here has made some amazing sub emotes for him, including Biz Steve, which we'll get to later on. But yeah, be sure to go give Bizkit a follow.
Biz Goffy.
Biz Goffy, Biz Albert. Shoutouts to Albert.
This fight in particular is incredibly dangerous because you're surrounded by these enemies. All of these enemies can one-shot you. There are a lot of instances in this run where you can just be one-shot for a single misstep, so thankfully Chicken Little does a good job of kind of taking care of them, as well as Magnet Finishing Leap also taking care of them. Like, everything kind of, like, seems easy, like, oh, he's just kind of going through the motions, but one, like, misstep and he is potentially dead.
Being a little safe there.
So when the dancers have their hands glowing like that, it means they're trying to grab you. If they grab you, you are dead. That is 100% instant kill. You also saw that he dismissed Chicken Little there, which might seem like not a very smart thing to do.
His party members.
Yeah,
you might wonder. As I thought.
You might wonder why ever dismiss Chicken Little there. We actually need 3 drive gauge here, or at the very least, we need to be able to get to 3 drive gauge because we're going to be using Genie in this next fight.
All right, so here comes Demix. This, for a lot of people, could be like a childhood misery dealing with Mr. Dance Water Dance.
This strat is really precise and has a lot to go into it, so I'll probably let either Riz or Bloody explain it.
All right, so what he wants to do, he wants to break all of these clones. He has to go through this mini game of just breaking 50 of these clones. But what's crazy is that you can actually use Trinity Limit and destroy lots of clones, and each of these clones gives you an insane amount of hits. So from that right there, he gets around 134, and he blows through an entire bar and a half or so of HP off of Demix. Now for the second part of this fight, he's going to be using Genie. Valor Genie's limit gives you some invincibility and also does a lot of extra damage to him. So we're going to be going through this loop right here. It's going to be one air combo, a couple hits, and then Valor Genie. And it's just going to constantly force him to do this move. And it just keeps him stuck in this, you know, basically infinite loop until he is virtually dead. And there you go.
Nice.
Now Time for
I want to
the
get to
most
something.
terrifying part.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and just jump into one thing right there. You might have noticed that he was always doing enough hits. He was trying to abuse his revenge value constantly, pushing him right to the brink of his revenge value, and then using Valor Genie so he can get the iframes and deal some damage in there. You might have noticed, however, there was one point where Demix kind of got stuck on the wall, and he had to react to that accordingly and go straight into Valor Genie because he was going to start his retaliation phase at that point. However, to note, this series of 4 fights is the most terrifying part of the game. If he dies, he goes back to the last time he has free control of Sora, which is before Demix. And all these fights can kill him, as you can see. So, with that, we're going to call some serious time and see what he can do.
That was close.
A death here is like upwards to 5 minutes time loss.
If you
so.
died a Cloud, yeah.
Yeah, both the soldiers and the Morning Stars do tons of damage in this fight.
We recently acquired a new ability right here called Round Break or Vicinity Break. That circling move when there are a lot of enemies around you is actually really great at taking out lots of small enemies like the shadows there. So you'll see it throughout these fights.
He really wants a Rising Sun here. It's an incredibly powerful reaction command that deals with Morning Stars specifically right here.
Thank you, Tifa.
Tifa also does a fantastic job of dealing with Morning Stars.
Tifa, however, is really bad at fighting shadows, so even if there's like one shadow left, she just won't be able to kill it.
It's sort of a trade-off.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to who will hopefully be calling Toji Sucks in the FF7 run.
So shadows do have a move where they can pop up for 0 frames and pop back down. You actually can't hit them when they do that. There's nothing you can do.
And with that, in this final phase, we're going to be introduced to Limit Form.
So Limit Form levels up by completing these limits that he's doing right now. So that's 1 EXP. This will be 2. And he needs 3 to reach level 2, and that's all he'll need for the run. Limit Form is going to be used much later on to fight some endgame bosses, and you just need that extra drive bar that level 2 gives. So we got it. And now Cloud goes Super Saiyan here and completely destroys everything else. So.
And if you want to see him use Omni/more, donate.
Now you know how to be on an AGDQ couch. Yeah, a little subtle thing you might have noticed there, and it's a technique that's actually going to be used later on in the run as well. You might have noticed that Biz actually threw an ether up in the air before he even used the limit. That's because the animation of the ether going up in the air and then him starting the limit actually goes off and then the ether takes place. So it makes it to where he gets 1 free limit there, or 1, essentially for the use of an ether, and then 2 more afterwards, which after 3 uses of limit, getting to the final phase of them, that's what gave him level 2.
I'm pretty sure it's Steve.
So to explain what's going on with this Steve and Kyle nonsense.
Oh, it's Steve.
That has to be
By the way,
Steve.
this is, in my opinion, the worst fight in the game.
Yeah, so here we're using these Heartless. Oh, the reaction command from this Heartless to actually spin in a circle and a Sparkle Ray, I believe, to spin in a circle and deal a lot of damage to a lot of enemies at once. There are 1,000 Heartless in this fight, and they're not actually all loaded. The PS2 wouldn't be able to handle that. They just kind of simulate that they're all there. So throughout this fight, we want to continue to grab 1 Sentry here and use Sparkle Ray over and over. The the Heartless that actually gives you good Sparkle Rays over and over, we like to affectionately call Steve. And the one that decides to give you a long windup after giving you 1 good reaction command, that's actually Kyle, because we don't like Kyle.
Kyle's a jerk.
Kyle's a jerk. Sorry if your name is Kyle.
But no, we're not. Kyle sucks.
That was a Kyle move right there.
Yeah.
Steve's already dead.
But there he is. He's back.
Oh, dude.
Steve has risen back from the dead.
Oh no. So it is extremely easy to die in this fight. We do have the ability once more, which lets you survive combos. So if you take a rapid amount of hits all at once, you'll survive with 1 health, but even still, it can be really easy just to get killed by a cheap shot in this fight.
Yeah, it's just another fight where you're constantly having to react to what's going on around you because it is the most random fight in the game.
So for the last 100 or so, he's spinning the camera around a bit. That's just to help load in the last 100 Heartless. So the Sparkle Rays kill more.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby.
And
that
with
was
that,
really good. That was a good segment. Are we still deathless? We are still deathless.
That is 2/3 of the game without a death. That's just absolutely incredible.
Good luck, man.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. And it just gets harder from here, too. It's not like it gets easier.
That's why we saved the best for last.
There's no really easy way to...
That's while we're kind of getting switched around here.
Yeah, while we're swapping around, just keep skipping and I'll hand it to Bloody.
We have
if we lose a few seconds,
Mr. Bloody Biscuits here, who is the current world record holder of this game, switching in for the last leg. And really everybody who isn't already following him needs to go follow him immediately because he's going to be doing a fantastic job. We all already have total faith in him.
And during this highly choreographed switch, how about a donation? Just poke it in. $75 from the hand. Been watching for years, but I'm finally able to donate to this amazing cause. Love the work you all are doing, and I hope we can keep preventing cancer, saving frames, and arguing about animal welfare for years to come. Thank you.
Thanks.
Cool. Good job, man.
All right, so we're headed to Beast Castle first. Oh my god, the camera inverted. Okay. So I'll be changing the config here real quick. We're actually here just to get a stronger Keyblade. We'll be coming back here to finish the actual thing a little bit later on.
Is your customize all that you want it to be?
No, actually. Yeah. This is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely not used to this. Forgot about the customize that I was supposed to be changing here. Thank you. There we go.
We got there in the end. Okay.
I can't believe you got through that. I would have died like instantly.
So you can tell.
So
right
the
there,
most gigantic choke in the world. I apologize for that because that is definitely not how that is supposed to go through.
See, Bloody right there calls that a choke. Every one of us would have died there, I believe. If your customization. When you have such intense muscle
thank God. Okay.
running this game, those customize, which we actually can
I am
use,
finally back at home. All right.
We can use up to 4 spells.
Yeah, I changed the config, but I forgot about the customize and beast, so that was kind of like the worst situation to start with.
We can use up to 4 spells there by holding L1 and pressing one of the 4 primary buttons.
We just have to explain this part real quick while he's re-entering the room. It's actually manipulating bulky vendors. What it does is when you enter a bulky vendor room for the first time since resetting the console, every time you re-enter it, it sets a flag for each bulky vendor to appear. So he entered it 3 times. That means every single bulky vendor we come in contact with, we can get. They'll all be there.
And to explain, bulky vendors are prize Heartless that using Garcia and them will give you about 2,000 experience. So they're pretty important to get.
Yeah, and like I was saying earlier, just being able to react like Bloody did in that fight when your muscle memory is so ingrained into using these customizations.
Oh my god, I was panicking.
Reflect and magnet timing is really important, as you probably noticed there, and being able to quickly dodge around all those attacks. That and recover is insane. You can see basically when we have these 2-second fights that look like they didn't take a lot of work, this is what happens when they go wrong. And it gets pretty scary very quickly.
Yeah, that was a disaster to say the least, but didn't die. So
didn't die.
Hooray!
Also to note, you might be wondering why he isn't doing the rest of Beast Castle. You pretty much have to split up Beast Castle because it's faster map movement. kind of like we did the first trip there, where after you go all the way to Beast's room and do that kind of section of the world, you'll then warp back out and then warp back into the other part of the world, like back near the first part. So yeah, he really was just kind of breaking up there and conveniently getting the Rumbling Rose, which is the Keyblade he currently has attached, which gives him another finishing plus. It's actually much more useful in the other versions of this game where we don't have finishing plus like in critical mode, but it's still very useful. It's the most powerful Keyblade we have to this point, and it still gets a couple of worlds worth of use. And will later be equipped onto Valor once we get another Keyblade, the True God Keyblade.
And for example, in the beginner mode speedrun of this, because we don't have finishing plus, Rumbling Rose is pretty much used for the entire rest of the game because we need that extra finisher. So it's a very good Keyblade.
I think the biggest time saver with Rumbling Rose is actually specifically this fight, simply because of Master Form. Master Form destroys this fight. The idea behind this boss fight is to keep Grim Reaper from teleporting around. The less he teleports around, the faster the fight goes, so I'm going to be using a lot of magic to do that.
So just like with the pirates and Barbossa, Grim Reaper is able to be frozen like this.
Alright.
Yeah, and to kind of reiterate for anybody who might have been joining us recently, Finishing Plus extends the number of finishers that you have in a combo by one. Finishers almost always, I believe, do more damage than the regular combo hits, and oftentimes, such as the case with Master Form there, will stun the boss very well.
There's a slight BGM glitch in this fight. I'm not sure it's going to be too noticeable.
Yeah, I don't think we mentioned it at all, but this game does have BGM glitches in the original PS2 versions. We think it's basically if you skip a cutscene too fast, it probably can distort some songs.
I'd also like to note that Master Form, it stays level 1, and it's still that good. So, anybody out there who's like, oh, Master Form, it's not that good. What are you even talking about?
It's incredible. And there is an old route we used to do where we did level Master Form, but because level 1 is already so strong, it took too long to level to get enough benefit from it. So we just use that level 1 anyway, and it's still amazing.
All right, I just picked up Peter Pan. He's going to be useful in some fights a little bit later on, but he won't be seeing much showtime until a little later. Right now we're just doing a little bit of medallion collection. There's a neat little trick you can do here with Magnet and Solo Trinity. You keep on hitting him straight back into the Magnet and produce a lot of hits. It gets you a lot of drive back as well as dealing lots of damage.
So something to explain about Magnet is every time it pulls in an enemy, it also deals damage. So abilities like Trinity knock the enemy out of the Magnet, and then the Magnet pulls it back in, dealing extra damage. And that gets used with Group Trinity as well a little later on.
Like while Reflect is probably the most broken spell in this game, Magnet is probably my favorite spell because it has so much use with other things in the game. You kind of like synergize a lot of limits and other moves to produce a lot of damage.
Yeah, and one of the big uses of Finishing Plus throughout this run is using Magnet followed by a Finishing Leap or by another ability, as well with Reflect in similar situations. That is something that makes Rumbling Rose in beginner, of course, very, very needed.
So yeah, these are the fastest gamblers you can get taking this path. So that's why we didn't just stay in the other part because we don't have to kill any pirates to get to them. So we skipped this room.
Something I'm not sure we touched on during the first visit. Pirates are vulnerable to Blizzard and all magic as we said before, but they actually can't be hurt unless they're in the moonlight. And because of that, it's really annoying to
swag.
to kill pirates when they're in locations, especially when they spawn in locations where they might not be in the moonlight. That's why we try to avoid them as much as possible during these medallion fights. One of the reasons, rather.
And with that, we're actually already at the boss of this world. To kind of just explain right before he starts the fight, all we're doing on this second trip is you're trying to essentially unlock the path to all the other Disney worlds. So all we have to do is defeat Land of Dragons, Beast Castle, Port Royal, Halloween Town, and Agrabah, the second trips for all 5 of those. And they're all relatively short, and then we can move on to the final dungeon of the game.
Yeah, the game doesn't require us to go do Pride Lands at all, Atlantica, Hunter, and Bigger Woods, except for that like first time we went there for like a minute. We can skimp Olympus too as well.
Never have to go to Space Paranoids too, yeah. So there's a fair amount the game doesn't make you do, which is kind of convenient because I know Riz has an opinion on all the worlds we don't go to.
They're all pretty bad speedrun-wise, especially in Final Mix. I've done an all-worlds run where you go to all those worlds on beginner, and there's just, you don't have much you can do in those extra worlds.
Right here, there's a little bit of tech. He's about to turn invisible, but if I actually just target him in midair and Land of Thunder, he just still hits him, even though he's supposedly invisible. It was discovered semi-recently.
I'm not sure we mentioned it, but this boss actually collects a bunch of medallions, and while he has those medallions, he's invulnerable. You need to knock all of the medallions out of him and put them back in the chest in order to make him vulnerable again.
And right here, once again, I'm preventing him from teleporting as much as I can.
Yeah, in the last phase of this, he's about to suck up all the medallions, which normally for casual people is a nightmare to deal with, but we have a pretty interesting way to knock them all out.
Yeah, 882 coins right now.
So every Thunder knocks out about 50 medallions, and Master from Thunder hits several times, so this takes care of this phase extremely quickly. Hopefully Goofy is helpful. And
not fast enough, but still okay.
Goofy can be using Goofy Bash there to knock MP orbs out, so you can get full MP for this part, but he didn't get lucky
there. We go.
That was good though, getting that reflect.
That's also the only planned use of Cure throughout the game.
Yeah, there you go.
That is probably my least favorite boss in the game, casually.
A lot of people hate it, yes.
And we made quick work of it there.
Yeah, this world is not nearly as bad as most of the others in the second visits for a speedrun on crit.
To note, the AGDQ couch is made for 3.5 butts. So we're doing what we can. All right. So that takes care of Port Royal. That unlocks his path. He can either go to Halloween Town or Agrabah right now. He wants to go to Halloween Town first because of the Keyblade you get at the end of this world.
The God Keyblade.
The God Keyblade.
It has one of my favorite designs as well, and it also is probably just the strongest of all.
Yeah, you'll be seeing in the level 1 data org after this run where we equip that Keyblade a lot. It's because it just boosts ground combo damage so much. It's, a lot of people are like, why not use Ultima? Well, Ultima doesn't have the damage boost that you get from Decisive Pump.
Why not use Oblivion?
Dreamer, why aren't you using Oblivion?
Are we going to get Ultima in this run?
We are definitely getting Ultima. Are we
what
going
about Sephiroth?
Oh, we're fighting Sephiroth in this run too, definitely.
Sweet. Oops.
This is the best speedrun ever.
I think your foot is on my cord here.
Yeah, and that's kind of something we haven't really talked about. Again, Decisive Pumpkin does have the highest strength for the Keyblades we care about, but also its ability combo boost, I believe, is incredibly useful. And in this game and in the run, using Keyblades for their abilities is almost ridiculously more important than using them for their base stats. The stats don't nearly affect it as much as their abilities in most cases.
Okay, so as you saw at the beginning of this fight, Dance Call does have like a magnet ability at the beginning of it, so we have used that to bring all the kids in at once so we could just quick kill them and throw them in boxes. Yes.
So we RNG manipulated or luck manipulated these bulky vendors to show up in this room specifically, so I'm going to go ahead and set up. Normally they're supposed to be random, but because of the RNG manipulation, they will always spawn right here. There's 2 specifically here, so we get lots of EXP. These guys yield about 2,000. Almost 2,000 EXP per.
That is actually something different in Final Mix. In the other versions, they give around 1,000 instead of 2,000.
So now, why, Biz, why did he summon Stitch there right at the beginning?
Just for a safety measure, so Stitch could parry all the enemies that would be trying to attack you while grabbing the bulky vendors. Like, you're invincible during the reaction command for bulky vendors, but afterwards you're not.
Those enemies can all one-shot.
And with that, let's see what Peter Pan can do.
Forgot to summon him, but that won't be too big of a deal. All right, so this is going to be Peter Pan's first entrance. So we're going to round all these enemies up into this area right here. There's some really, really annoying Heartless later on, but if we do this correctly, we just get all of the presents.
Yeah. Doing
Those Heartless right there can go die somewhere,
the
please.
Graveyard's one-shot you.
This fight used to be such trash.
No, we used to have like 5 different strats. Like we would just cycle through them, and none of them really worked out. And then we finally just kind of settled with Peter Pan, and I think he's a keeper this time. I think he's going to stick around.
Yeah, it will almost like never fail if you do it right.
Because the fight's, well, actually, let's get hype, because this is the best part of the game.
Dude, I love luck. I love presents.
So yeah, to explain a little bit how this minigame works, the little red ones, we have to get 100 presents. Red ones are worth 1. The little yellow ones are worth a little more than that. The green ones are worth more, and the
Don't
brown
get too
ones
excited.
are worth a lot.
Okay, here we go.
It's completely random what they're going to come out with. So this is not. Oh, Billy Joel.
There we go.
All right, baby, we'll take
solid,
that.
yeah.
Pretty
Okay.
solid. It
There's
can be horrible, or it can be amazing. It'll just shower you with all the big boxes in the world.
And the other important thing, because it gave them to you fast enough, after I think the kids had just gotten out on the floor at that point. Lock, Shock, and Barrel can go out and start knocking boxes off of the platforms or off of the little arena you're in. So,
Yeah.
but either way, that little stupid minigame's over with. Time for the boss of this world, the experiment, where we will once again hopefully see some Peter Pan action and see the real usage of Peter Pan in this run. Starting off with Dance Call to push him all the way through his first phase. Riz, do you want to know kind of the best way to use Dance Call or the proper way to use it?
Yeah, if you just start with one of the buttons, and then because you can use both triangle and circle for each part of the limit, but you just alternate between them with a slight pause in between to get the most damage out of that. So you can see you did a ton of damage with it. Peter Pan's other ability is, as you attack, he also attacks with you, and that can keep a couple bosses stun locked, as you're seeing. The experiment can't really do anything right now. Sick ground combo.
Ooh.
I want to take this a little safe, yeah. Oh.
Well, that's okay
That's good.
because
We can see the third ability of Peter Pan, which is Tinkerbell's Auto Life. So that's... Ooh,
Smart. Yeah, I was gonna say, we actually have a known crash in this fight, but we know how to avoid it. It's basically when you're doing the reaction command to form them back together, if you get killed while you're throwing it, the game just crashes. That was a good save.
yeah, so nice.
He knows like all the backup strats.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to getting punched in the mouth.
When we count like deathless runs, we actually don't count the deaths where Peter Pan saves us, because we only count them for like those to continue.
It's only really a 15-second loss there. I mean, sure, if you want to count it as me dying, I actually did indeed die, but I didn't actually like lose the full amount of time there.
Yeah. It'd be like the same thing as using Mickey on Cerberus. Like, we
Yeah.
never count that as a death.
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting that with all the summons, it's not just like one overpowered technique with each of them. All of them have like multiple uses within the run for why we want them. And the nice thing about Peter Pan is not only does he allow you to get those really cool stun loops on certain bosses, but also it's a free re-raise with having Tinkerbell in the fight as well. And Peter Pan stays out to keep the combo going. And so with that, probably in all the second visits to the worlds, I personally consider this to be the worst
Gotta go ahead and summon
because
you
of
for
these
safety.
first two fights. You know, you're sitting here right now, they've given you all these overpowered techniques, and this is the last to know. That's the last bulky vendor that we're grabbing. It's mainly to try to get level 30 by the boss of this world, Genie Jafar.
He will. He got
We're
level
guaranteed.
29.
We're guaranteed this one. Yeah.
Unless he like ignores every enemy on the carpet escape.
Yeah.
I wanted to be absolutely sure that we hit level 30 there.
Yeah, exactly.
Very safe.
But yeah, so these next two fights are terrible. All these like cool techniques and overpowered spells are, you know, we're not taking away everything, but Donald and Goofy aren't in this fight. They're most all of our limits except for Solo Trinity. We can't use any of our drives.
We can't even use Solo. We have no access to limits, summons, drives. Our party members, we have nothing for the most part.
And instead, controlling these fights is a lot harder than he's probably making it look right now.
Yeah, like he had to use it. You can skip using an ether here, but the enemies were too spread out, and it's basically luck. It's really hard to control that.
Had to use an ether, but it's okay.
It's not terrible because your potion and ether use in this game, it's a little loose. Like, there are definitely some backup potions and ethers that you get throughout the run to where, you know, inevitably something's going to go wrong in these fights. There's enough randomness to where it's kind of almost intended. All right, a couple of emergency ethers in particular.
Yeah, the route gives you some leniency. If there was not any leniency, this would be quite the route.
Yeah, Riz and I pretty much didn't really waste any ethers either, so like Bloody has a lot to fall back on if strats like don't go well.
To note what he's doing there, he's actually chasing the illusion of Jafar. The controls for the carpet are actually really hard to get used to at first. They're very slippery. Your momentum kind of carries a little bit. You don't really stop on a dime. And there's also a faster version when you're moving the carpet a set direction for a while. You'll start moving much faster, and he wants to be moving that as much as possible. So at different times you'll see him actually do a quick little loop with the carpet. That's in order to continue his momentum, because if you change direction very quickly, it actually will not immediately stop your momentum.
Come here, you. There we go.
That's very nicely done.
Again, another instance of really how good the combo system is in this game. How what he was doing there was he was kind of baiting out an attack from the enemies, reflecting that attack, and then immediately comboing that into another magnet in order to constantly keep the enemies staggered and keep them from using their attacks. Because again, the fights might look easy on critical mode here. If he lets the Heartless have an inch, they will take a mile and they will kill you. Especially those Crimson Jazz, those large red enemies, they do tons of damage.
The Crimson Jazzes have, I think, 2 or 3 one-hit kill moves at this point, so we have to take care of them, and the Fortune Tellers 2-shot us. So,
and to note, he moved in a specific way there to despawn all the enemies around the switches.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they would just interrupt you when you're trying to shoot the blizzard one.
You could YOLO, but you'd also die.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
It's like a slick, like 2-3 seconds you save if you don't despawn them.
Yeah. Worth it.
Worth it.
Yeah, the suicide strats are worth it.
Also, shout-outs to Cutscene Skip. Wait, what?
For whatever reason, there isn't a cutscene here. It always feels like there should be. Yeah. So a lot of times, a lot of us will just accidentally pause there.
A lot of people
expecting a cutscene. But
when I started out, I would just stand in place, kind of expecting it, and then you'd be standing there for a second, like, oh, okay.
To kind of add on to that, we never mentioned it at the beginning, but every loading zone actually fades in from black in this game, I believe, and during that time, you can actually move Sora before you can actually see him. So throughout most loading screens, you're actually going to be holding forward to start moving a direction, or potentially spamming square to use quick run. And so when Bloody says that you would just stand there for a second, you might not even notice it when it's originally happening, when that happened to him. But actually, he should have been moving during the time where you couldn't see Sora.
Yeah.
So it's those kinds of little optimizations. Again, I tend to be the one that calls them out all the time because they interest me so much. Is that, that might be a half a second every loading screen, if that. But that half a second adds up over the, hundreds probably of load screens we have throughout the run.
So of note on this is an auto-scroller. We can't speed it up. Our main goal is to get EXP, so we hit level 30 before Jafar. And a lot of this is based on the way you kill enemies. Killing them as fast as you can spawns even more on a lot of segments, and you can get a ton of EXP from this just by optimally killing everything fast.
And another thing to note is the ability experience boost doesn't work in this section. Experience boost only takes effect.
I wanted it to so bad.
It only takes effect when Sora gets credit for the kill. And in this room, because it's the ground killing the enemies, experience boost won't activate. Yeah. It would make things a lot simpler, but...
If you were strong enough to one-shot them, though, would that count?
I would assume so. I haven't put the time into doing that.
With that, we're going to be walking up to Genie Jafar here in a second. If you want to get in one quick donation before we get there.
Here's a quick one, $30 from Hagalaz. Hey guys, I had to donate during my favorite game with some of my favorite streamers, obviously. My grandfather has been battling lung cancer for about half a year now, and he's winning the fight for now. It's amazing what you guys are doing, and keep it up. Also, gimme that Kingdom Key.
Shoutouts to the Kingdom Key, which is a prize for donating here.
Remember the name of it? Yeah, they have who the person is that donated this. This is awesome looking. Yeah, I think if you donate like a minimum of $15 during the course of this run, which you've got
25.
25. Whoops, my bad. False advertising. $25. Then you will be entered into a drawing to win this. Genie Jafar, let's go.
It was supplied by KFJ.
Riz, please explain how this fight works, because you are the master.
So when you're on the carpet, some of your attacks are exchanged, slide dash being one of them. And if you, for a lot of times we're kind of, matching out our combos pretty quickly to, do it fast. But in this fight, if you do that, you actually get a lot less damage. So for your slide dash, you want to actually let go of the attack button during them, so you can get the full damage, which speeds up the fight a lot. And other than that, there's an HP gate at about 1.6 bars that if you break it with a finisher, Genie Jafar will just go into his desperation move, which wastes about 30 seconds and will probably kill you. So avoiding it there, he's going to do the RC one more time, and that should end the fight.
Yeah, a lot of people usually have trouble with this fight on critical mode casually if they're not a high enough level, and seeing it done like this is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and because we're level 30, that works out. At level 29, you actually do so much less damage that the fight takes an extra 30 seconds. Wow. So it's pretty important to get level 30.
That's also, as I understand it, one of the more consistent fights in the run, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. There's no luck involved in that fight.
Yeah.
It's actually my favorite fight in the game. So.
Yeah, if you're on an RPG, it's pretty nice having a fight where there's no RNG involved.
If you wanted to know how to fight Genie Jafar on like German, PAL, PS3, something, Riz probably has a strat for that because he loves this fight.
I think Riz has uploaded probably well over like 7 Jafar strat videos or so.
Something like that for various difficulties and versions of the game.
Yeah, the strats between versions changes usually with that fight.
So now we're going to finish up Beast Castle. I went into the parlor earlier. You might have noticed it. You might also have missed it. I went in there to activate the save point so that I could save warp straight to the parlor and activate this fight.
So he has to be very careful against these Dragoons. They do have a one-shot, so we want to kill them as quickly as we can and keep them stuck in Magnet.
He's still alive? Okay, you're not getting me this time.
If you notice right there, Bloody actually used the jump command, which is used by using the learn reaction command. That jump command is going to be very helpful in the next fight, which I'm sure a lot of people will be pretty amazed by if they had trouble with Zaldin, our next boss, as a kid.
With that, let's go ahead and give him a little bit of serious time for this fight, because there's a few cues he's looking for.
Mm-hmm. This is also another childhood fight that a lot of people had a lot. If you remember the guy with the lances that destroyed you, then this is the guy. So if I do this correctly, then hopefully this guy gets destroyed. Wow, that is a long time since I've seen that.
So that was actually bad RNG that Bloody got there. He wants him to do just his frontal attack so he can guard that. Nice.
That aerial dodge is pretty precise. I have to land it to get all of the urns.
And if he misses that aerial slash, he's dead. That's a one-shot, that lance attack. Also, honestly, that's some pretty impressive mashing that Bloody has to put out right there to stock 9 full jumps there. So
we skip his desperation move basically by stopping right before the HP barrier on Zaldin and then getting 9 more jumps so we can kill him. That's also why we didn't kill Zaldin earlier. We wouldn't have been able to do that. We wouldn't have been strong enough, but now we are strong enough. And just a little bit more about that fight, we did go into a drive form because it does more damage with the jumps.
And that's actually the last free drive use we have. We routed it so that after that, if we were to go into a drive in a fight, we might get anti-form, but in that fight, we're fine.
Yeah, we do have a chance of going anti-form in any fight that allows it right now, but we will be fixing that soon.
However, another thing about anti-form is if you're alone, if you don't have both Donald and Goofy, you can't go anti-form. So we'll see that in this fight here against Riku.
There are a lot of instances in the rest of the run where I'm by myself, and I still have access to limit form, so I will not have to worry about anti-form there, and I can just be safe.
So Riku doesn't get staggered ever, so he just kind of sits there and eats damage. Which is great with limit form.
Nice.
That's like perfect luck.
Yeah, whoa, wow, yeah.
Yeah, that was so good.
That
wow.
was really good.
All right, so now that we don't have to worry about drive uses too much, we can actually use the fastest mode of transportation we have, which is Wisdom Form level 3, which has access to Quick Run level 2.
Overall, Wisdom Form is not a great form inside of combat, but its movement is obviously very fast. So that's pretty much its main usage, and to give us Quick Run.
It has its uses in some fights if you were to use it, but
you'll
not really.
I say that.
Yeah, in Data
But
Org,
in Data Org, you will actually see it somewhat, or not somewhat. You will see it in fights.
Yeah, one of the notable uses of it, I'm sure we'll touch on it later as well, is that you actually get MP haste, and I believe MP haste there as well. You get drastically reduced MP charge, which lets you use a lot more magic.
So we talked about this earlier with the Magnet Trinity. The Trinity is pushing all those enemies in and out of the Magnet, which deals damage to them, but also increases the amount of hits that the Trinity gets, allowing him to end this fight in just one Trinity. Hopefully. Here he has enough.
There is one Bolt Tower that was kind of lagging, so there might be
And he
a little...
got
Oh,
it.
there we
That
go.
was good.
There we go.
So normally if you did just a raw Trinity without a Magnet first, you wouldn't even come close. We're doing it that way.
Yeah, that fight normally would be really scary if you didn't do that, because you have the Assault Riders and Bolt Towers surrounding you that can just hit you from all angles. And we also want to pick up all the money, so money gets dragged into you automatically when you win a fight if they're still around, so that will help us buy ethers later.
And he actually equipped Jackpot on Donald, which increased the amount of money right before that, after the Riku fight.
Yo, this BGM glitch, I'm digging it.
Again, he wanted to dismiss Chicken Little there because he wanted to get to 3 drive bars like you just saw right there. Again, in case it wasn't completely clear, summons actually take up the drive gauge just like your drive forms do. So you have to route out how you balance using both of those.
Yeah, summons actually always take 3 drive gauge, I believe, and Valor, as do Valor and Wisdom. Limit form takes 4, and so does Master, I believe, and then Final takes 5 drive gauge. We won't actually be getting Final Form this run unless we're lucky.
Don't speak too soon.
And Final Form or bust. But this is a really cool strat, so I'm going to leave this one to Biz or Riz to explain.
You can explain it.
Alright, well, so he is using Valor Genie once again for the invincibility and just the extra damage that does. He's not going to actually do the very last part of the punch because it would send him flying off of Storm Rider. He's only used the first 9 hits of it. Yeah. And again, that's just for extra damage. And he has a lot of damage. I'm actually going to pause for just a second there. If he had attacked too early, it would have broken Storm Rider's HP gate and sent him into the last phase without getting enough damage on him. So that's why he paused there for like half a second.
Yeah, we have to stay on the back as long as we can for this fight to make it go this fast.
Oh my god. It's happening.
Oh, baby.
It's happening. Back there for just extra chip damage. Here we go. Yes! Oh. Yes! RC finish! Perfect fight.
If I may, that fight can last as much as like 20 seconds longer or something if you get all the way to the laser. So that's pretty ridiculous that it ended in the RC there.
That was worth it. that was all of the worth it.
Oh my gosh. All right, with that, we have finally completed all of the revisits to the Disney worlds. We've unlocked the paths to all of the Disney worlds, which is good enough. The game says, all right, cool, we made you go around and do enough BS. We'll let you go to the final dungeon now. So now there's one final gummy mission. We'll go to Twilight Town and then off to the world that never was. With that, again, we told you guys we were going to be doing 6 Disney songs. We did the top 6. The number 2 donated for was actually Be Prepared, Scar's song from The Lion King. And for that, I'm going to ask my good buddy Ghoul02, also from the Tropical Freeze community, to come up and help us out with this one. So...
Hello, everybody. I never thought hyenas essential. They're crude and unspeakably plain, but maybe they've a glimmer of potential, if allied to my vision and brain. I know that your powers of retention are as wet as the warthog's backside, but thick as you are, pay attention. My words are a matter of pride. It's clear from your vacant expressions. The lights are not all on upstairs, but we're talking kings and successions. Even you can't be caught unawares. So prepare for a chance of a lifetime. Be prepared for sensational news. A shiny new era is tiptoeing nearer.
And where do we feature?
Just listen to teacher. I know it sounds sordid, but you'll be rewarded when at last I am given my dues. And injustice deliciously squared. Be prepared.
Yeah, be prepared. We'll be prepared. For what?
For the death of the king.
Is he sick?
No, fool. We're gonna kill him. And Simba, too.
Great idea. Who needs a king? No king, no king. La 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 la.
Idiots! There will be a king!
But you said...
I will be king. Stick with me, and you'll never go hungry again.
Yeah, all right. Long live the king. Long live the king. It's great we will soon be connected with a king who'll be all-time adored. Do.
Of course, quid pro quo, you're expected to take certain duties on board. The future is littered with prizes. And though I'm the main addressee, the point that I must emphasize is you won't get a sniff without me. So prepare for the coup of the century. Be prepared for the murkiest scam.
La la la.
Meticulous plannings, tenacity spanning, decades of denial is simply why I'll be king undisputed, respected, saluted, and seen for the wonder I am. Yes, my teeth and ambitions are bared. Be prepared.
Yes, our teeth and ambitions are bared.
Be prepared.
Thank you so much to Ghoul02. Also, thank you to Ghoul for providing us with all the lyrics throughout all that. I want to thank you guys. I think, you know, the Disney songs was something we kind of threw on at the end of when we were trying to come up with donation incentives for this. I believe that raised over 5,000 by itself. So between that, the bidding war, and the level 1 data org RTA, the donation incentives for Kingdom Hearts raised close to $20,000. So thank you all so much, for your generosity. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I think the Kingdom Hearts community, we felt almost a little jaded being kept out of the marathons for the last 3.5 years, ever since Summer Games Done Quick 2011. So seeing that chunk of change raised for the Prevent Cancer Foundation, we're honored to be here and get to do this run. And thank you to all our fans out there who support us day in and day out as we do these RTA attempts. It really was a lot of fun. So, yeah, awesome. And with that, that's the final going mission, and here we go, the final stretch of the game.
I guess I'll just talk about level 1 data org real quick, because after the run, we met the incentive to do level 1 data org. It's a boss rush category in which we're going to be fighting all the data organization members at level 1. In 2FM, they threw all the optional super bosses from the organization all in one room conveniently, so get excited for that. Bloody and I will be doing all of those fights right after this run.
It is truly the craziest boss rush you'll ever see in any game. 13 absolute super bosses, all of them can easily kill you, and you're at level 1. So a lot of the things that we have in this game, like the technique Once More, we don't have access to, which again keeps us from being combo killed. Essentially, we'll stop at 1 hit point. There's another ability you'll get at other levels in the game called Second Chance. That prevents you from getting one-shotted. You don't have access to abilities like that. So should be pretty crazy, and I'm really happy that they gave us the extra 30 minutes on the estimate to fit that in. But
shoutouts to Muffin QT for taunting the sniper.
Never taunt the sniper.
No.
I love you, Muffin, I swear.
He loves you too.
So this fight is awful because you have Mickey helping you out, and he does everything except for help you out by knocking enemies out of your magnet randomly. And then to top it all off, you need Stitch to constantly restore MP, and sometimes he just doesn't want to do that. So you have 2 characters that can just wreck this fight for you and make it really slow.
Yeah, in a lot of cases throughout this run, your party members actually do more harm than good. We'll be seeing it again later in the Axel fight, most likely, although he can sometimes help you out.
Yeah, like as we saw, you know, the creepers spread apart too much from getting hit by Mickey and such, so we couldn't quick kill them.
Okay, great.
And there it is again, yeah.
Samurai spawn in 2s, and when one gets knocked away like that by Mickey, it can be really tough to get a fast fight. He's back in the magnet at least.
Yeah, this is one of those fights that's very deceptively complex. You have to be listening for audio cues from things like creepers. You have to be keeping an eye on the samurais that get out of the fight. And you also need to be watching your MP, because if at any point it goes down near or into MP charge and Stitch is not refilling it, then you have to switch up and stop using magic or pop an ether. So there's really just a lot to be taking stock of, and that really doesn't let up the rest of the game. Most of the fights are going to be like that from here on out.
The plus side to that fight, though, is it's incredibly hard to die. Like, Stitch will parry probably almost every attack in there except for like a creeper drop down, I believe. So you're relatively safe from getting trolled, at least.
You would skip that out of that real end.
My mind just kind of naturally tells me to just pick them up when I see them.
Yeah, so there are other categories of this game that people have routed out and made. Riz mentioned earlier the All Worlds category. Bloody actually made a really legitimately cool category called Gold Crown Run. When Bloody might have an opportunity, he might tell you a little bit about it, more than I can, but it's essentially 100% without dumb.
Yeah, it's 100% it is defined by us by completing the Jiminy Journal, and the Jiminy Journal has some interesting stuff, but also a lot of non-interesting stuff, such as grinding for synthesis items, doing a lot of odd mini games, and not a lot of it is really interesting. So Gold Crown is more just basically fighting the super bosses and doing all of the mini games from the organization mushrooms and kind of like routing that out and seeing it kind of change is really interesting. It's a really long category for sure, but it's kind of interesting that people actually take so much of an interest in it. So I'm glad that people like it, I guess.
And Bloody is thinking about actually routing that out even further post AGDQ, one of his projects. So who wants to explain why this fight is absolute trash?
Axel.
Yep, Axel and Assassins are a nightmare in this fight. He can get cheap-shotted by an Assassin killing itself if he falls out of Magnet at the wrong time.
Okay.
Like that. That explosion is a one-shot.
Yeah,
so.
it kills you in one shot, and there's nothing you can do about it if it hits you.
Yeah.
Nice. Surviving that fight is always good. We were doing a practice run of it, and Biz, I hate to call you out on it, but Biz actually died 4 times on that fight in our race last night. No, I didn't even get to that fight, but yeah, that fight is pretty trash.
Yeah, it's hard to control the Assassin. Sometimes they just don't get sucked into Magnet. They fall out. They can just pop up and kill you. It's a terrifying fight.
But thankfully it's behind us, and now we are on to the world that never was. This is the final dungeon of the game, and it's essentially like a big boss rush. And the first one is a final mix exclusive. Instead of just a cutscene, you'll be fighting Roxas here. If you're terrible like me, you die to this guy like 18 times.
He's an extremely hard fight.
They threw this guy in, and his output on damage is ridiculous, and his DM is also unbelievable.
So people say it's the hardest story fight.
Do you want serious time, or would you prefer we explain?
Go ahead and explain.
So this fight is really all about manipulating revenge value. Different abilities that you use, from a ground hit to an aerial hit to any really sort of magic. Everything has a different revenge value that it tacks onto a fight. And because when an enemy actually retaliates, the revenge value has to drop down to 0 at a natural level. It doesn't abruptly adjust to 0. We use that to manipulate this fight and be able to take care of him pretty quickly. And this is a fight that, for those of you who haven't seen before, can go really wrong really fast. Definitely a hard one at anybody's first time.
Yeah, a lot of people, like I said, consider it the hardest storyline boss in the game.
It also looks really cool.
Yes.
That's a really technical fight. There's a lot of inputs going on at once.
That fight is really where you test if you can mash, and both Spike and I know from learning that fight that there are times where you think you're doing absolutely everything right, and it turns out what you're doing wrong is you're not pressing your button quickly enough. And because of that, what happens is you don't necessarily die immediately. Roxas will actually not retaliate. And that's a really big part of that fight, is you need to make sure that you're doing everything as quickly as possible so that you're always hitting his revenge value, not letting him drop all the way back to 0 when it retaliates, and making sure that you force him to retaliate exactly when you want and can continue to loop him like that.
So Roxas gives us 2 things. One is the Keyblade equipped. The other is a combo master. We'll get in that later. But for now, the Keyblade equipped has a special ability that forces you, when you use a drive form in combat, to either get anti-form or final form. Either one is fine for our purposes. We just want anti-form and final form both lower anti-points to the point where we can use a drive on Zigbar.
Final form or boss?
Yeah. Final form has an extremely low chance of appearing. If it does, it's insane. Okay. Held our breath.
Everybody wanted it. So I could like
your menu to get super screwed up.
So, yeah.
Final form actually, for most people, would actually hurt you because you're very used to the menus of the drive form at the bottom of the command menu there. And Final Form tacks on an extra one, so having to go into something like Master Form and knowing that you need to adjust your menu because Final Form is there is pretty hard to do. Luckily, Bloody here has played this game a million times and actually knows a strat for this fight with Final Form, so we were really hoping for the 3% chance that he would hit Final Form there and be able to show it off.
You need serious time for this?
Yeah, sure. I would like some serious time. This fight is pretty ridiculous.
Might be the hardest fight in the game.
The DM skip for this guy is quite unbelievable. I'm amazed it even works in the first place.
Clever, little sneak.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, baby.
Yes.
Yeah, so just like try to go over that. We were able to skip his desperation move by just looping him in the last phase. It is pretty precise.
His
and
desperation move is unbelievable, and he becomes into the state where he just does not reload at all, and he shoots blue lasers, which are all one-shots. So if you miss that, it's basically death. I'm not even joking. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, just also like it's incredibly precise with when you have to do like duck flares and combos and stuff. It's like if you get DM'd, also like we don't have much for dodging options, so we can easily get just destroyed.
You also saw him pause in the middle of the fight, and that was because Xigbar can actually use different moves.
I needed a pause buffer to check which move he was going to use.
Exactly.
So now we have Luxord next, and he's actually a very different fight in this game. It's actually not HP based, it's actually a time bar. Every like hit you do decreases Luxord's time bar, and that's how you win. So we're gonna also be looping this guy in the second half of the fight as well.
Yeah, hitting him as a die lowers your form gauge and allows you to exit the die form much quicker.
Yeah, this final mix too, where they added that in.
Yeah.
And for those of you that remember Ars Arcanum from Kingdom Hearts 1, we never really touched on it, but this is it, right in limit form. Bloody will hopefully be using this later in the fight in order to skip the final minigame, which is actually Luxord's DM.
So here he's basically looping him by making him retaliate on the ground. And if he does it well, he can just do this the entire time without Luxord. He can do one of two things. He can do this mini game, which we do the reflect strat here, or he can jump at you with cards.
He'd rather see him do this the entire fight. This is the better RNG.
Yeah, this is the kind of luck you want in this fight.
Amazing.
There is another attack he could do if he thinks about it.
There we go. Okay.
Oh, here it
I get
is.
to see the other one.
However, that is, it's a little worse. And he needs to do actually 3 aerial hits because that gets him back into the loop, as opposed to with the other one, you only have to do 1 aerial hit.
Yeah, so he's about to hit his desperation mode, so we're going to try to skip it now.
Okay. Should be good as long as he gets it. And he's going to use the same ideas in the other fight earlier. He's going to throw an ether and then... Oh, okay.
No, I'm not.
He had enough damage where he didn't need to use the ether.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, you'll also notice when he is using ours, he ends it a little bit early. Basically, ours does not add revenge value unless you do the finisher. So we stop it right before the finisher, and that just so happens to allow us to continue a combo too. So that's used in quite a few fights from here
You saw
on
that
out.
on Roxas as well. It blows through about 2 health bars on a boss.
Yeah, Solo Trinity as well does not add any revenge value, so seeing, you'll see that combo, you know, kind of a lot where you go from a hit into a Solo Trinity into a hit into Ars Arcanum, just doing as much as possible to keep his revenge value low while attacking him. Also, shoutouts to a really cool strat.
Yeah.
So
going to blow everybody's mind.
the way this fight works is he has this berserk gauge. Once he brings it to max, then he'll just go into this mode where he's like constantly barraging you. But he has to charge it after I break him out of it. So right here, I'm going to be getting all of this damage on him with this loop.
Right here, it's important that he pins himself in between the wall and Saix so that Saix gets caught in all that reflect splash damage.
All right, so his berserk gauge is about to hit maximum. But the thing is, Peter Pan is amazing, and he does things like this.
So Peter Pan attacking while you're attacking keeps Saix unlocked, and he can't break out of this. Fight's over.
Yeah, like his revenge value is skyrocketing. He's already well past
He
it.
should be hitting me back, but Peter Pan's dagger is preventing Saix from doing literally anything. So I can just do this, and the fight is literally over.
You're probably wondering why we don't just spam this on every boss. It's because we either can't use a summon then, or it's not effective.
That's also, you know, it's a pretty easy strat to kind of pick up and everything, but it's very hard to do that consistently. You have to jump and use your aerial spiral in one extra hit as quickly as possible, and you want to try to let aerial spiral get in 2 hits at the very least, if you can. It's not required, but the trick is to make sure that you keep doing that loop without dropping a single combo, or he can potentially break out.
No roll of shame.
Oh.
He already knew it. He was avoiding it.
He's ready.
So here on this menu, we're going to re-equip Magnet, set up items, seal Riku's items, and we're going to take off 2 of Riku's abilities that we don't really want for any fight he's in.
That's something I don't think we really mentioned, is that in all these menus with party members, we're taking the items that they have just because they're more useful for us. A lot of party members have ethers and stuff like that.
Yeah, they have some pre-stocked items, but it's to our advantage to just steal it from them and to hoard it for ourselves because it's more useful that way.
He's fine. They don't one-shot you. If they did, it would be terrifying.
Alright, Xemnas 1 acts a little differently than he normally does in other versions of this game, but the principle is kind of the same, almost extremely similar to Roxas. We're going to be looping him for the majority of the fight, and then once he's in range, we're going to be using Limit Form and preventing him from using his DM by just doing this amazing combo with Limit Form.
I think this is a lot of people's favorite reaction command coming up, by the way.
Oh yeah, there are 3 parts to this. You don't just mash triangle, you wait, and then you use that, and it does about a full bar of damage, I would say.
Worth it.
Okay. Alright. My fault. Alright, I think what I'm going to do is I'm not going to try that strat out. That was a newer strat that I was trying out and didn't really work in my favor. He's supposed to launch all the way down to the end there, but I just kind of went for something that I knew was not going to work in the first place, so I'm going to try it a little differently this time.
Yeah, a lot of people remember this fight as being like really easy, but on crit, when you're under level, that's what happens in this fight.
So yeah, like I said, one mistake, you're dead. That's kind of the story of this category.
That's pretty much, that fight was pretty much what's going to probably happen in Data.org at some point.
Yeah, and all of the strats in this game take a lot of practice for the most part. It's just a lot of getting it down to where you know exactly what you're going to do and exactly what's going to happen. So kudos to Bloody for trying a strat that he's less familiar with. And it's just unfortunate that kind of thing can happen when you're altering your methods on the fly.
So basically, like, he's abusing revenge value to make him teleport every time. If you don't do that, the fight gets really scary.
Okay.
It's actually kind of a little messy when he uses that attack, but Bloody handled it fine.
Yeah. Okay. That was good. We took a bit of a risk there by doing that hit before limit form. A lot of the time, that'll add too much to his revenge value, and he'll teleport out of that, but it worked out.
Yeah, in that drive recovery we grabbed for safety, this would have been the last time we might have had to use it if that strat didn't go well. But now we're good. So this is the start of the final boss segment.
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it.
You're not?
You can if you want.
I guess we're not.
Screw skyscrapers.
The people at home know what I want to say, but I'm not going to say it.
I'm
Thank you
sure
to all the
there's
people.
emotes all over the chat now.
We apologize for whatever just happened to Twitch chat.
See, a lot of this is just getting through some reaction commands to get to the actual fights.
Oh, there's so much skyscrapers right now, dude. Also, Bloody also has sub and has some really cool emotes, including Bloody Stare and other Bloody Stare. And skyscrapers.
The two best emotes on the internet. All right.
So here, Magnet has enough range to just instantly knock all these enemies into the engines here. And Stitch is there again just to refill MP.
All right, so do we want to explain this upcoming core fight and how it's actually kind of terrifying?
Well, first, okay, when you throw out a magnet on the core and start attacking it, you can actually spawn a wave immediately. So what you don't want to do is start attacking the core, because then you're going to activate the claw attacks, which can one-shot you. So we skip that, but the terrifying thing is we have to deal with assassins again, and they like to suicide on you if you let them. So we have to keep like constant magnets up the whole time to prevent that from happening.
And again, the suicide attack will one-shot you, so... If any of them get out for even a second, they like to use that suicide, like right there. Okay,
yeah,
so
he was waiting for it though. So. If he didn't do the RC, he would have died there because he didn't get staggered by magnet. It's just a thing that happens with them sometimes. And now this is the second wave. And normally there would be like claws coming down trying to snipe you, but the magnet on the core itself kind of has like a weird property to it where it kind of skips that for now.
if you're super lucky, Stitch will just keep licking you and keep refilling your MP, but it's pretty much routed in that you're going to use 4 ethers in this fight. Bloody's already had to burn through 3 of them, it looks like.
Yeah, I personally always feel like we have to use 4 ethers here.
Right.
Like, you can't rely on Stitch at all in this.
We're going to dismiss Stitch. We need to get a drive back to 3 to use another summon on the next fight. And once it's at 3, safer just to use the Riku's limit session to deal the rest of the damage to the core.
One of the big advantages to using Session here, other than the fact that it actually deals a pretty good amount of damage, is that you're then invulnerable throughout this entire move, and it's very long. So being able to use that while the claws are
This just slices through health.
Is really nice.
Yeah, it makes that segment much safer.
All right, going for Chicken Little strats. The safer thing to do here is to use Stitch, but I've recently repicked up Chicken Little, and we're going to see. It's faster to do it this way. We'll see how it works.
Zemdas's sword swipe is a one-shot, so we have to make sure we reflect through that every time.
We get hit on purpose there. That forces Chicken Little's AI into using this firecracker attack, which deals chip damage throughout the whole fight. Overall, it saves about 5 seconds. Oh man.
Wow, this again.
Oh dear.
Shout out to Zach Braff that pulled it.
Nice.
That was the most rando fight ever, by the way.
Chicken Little can sometimes mess with Xemnas' patterns, creating weird situations. And those water clones that were out, they do one-shot you, so it can be pretty dangerous.
Again, the alternative to that, the safe version, you can use is the Stitch strat, which should be consistent every time. I don't think there's anything random to that. No. And with here, most hype fight of the game, Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would probably be a good place to read donations. The only thing to really note about this is they actually made this fight go a lot faster, and the next fight in the final mix version, they kind of shortened it up. I guess they thought the final battles were a little overly bloated, but yeah, we got about 2 minutes here if you want to read some donations.
And read donations is what I want to do. But before that, let us go over again our wonderful donation incentives here at AGDQ 2015. We have a few that are coming up that still need to be met. After Ocarina of Time, the last game of the main marathon, we have a $20,000 donation goal to stream the Super Smash Bros. Melee finals of the tournament that has been going on here, as well as a speed run of Smash Bros. Adventure Mode. So that is at about $3,000 out of a $20,000 goal. So if you want to see that, which I do, that is what my my donation host choice is for, then put in your donations for that, as well as an Ocarina of Time glitch exhibition that will also take place after Ocarina of Time. That is at about $16,500 out of a $25,000 goal. So if you want to see that glitch exhibition, put your donations toward that. Also, Final Fantasy VII is coming up in a bit, and you have the chance to participate in a bid war for the for the character name of the main party characters of that game, as well as the classic save or kill the animals in Super Metroid, which will be after Final Fantasy VII. Donations, we have them. $100 from Furcase saying, "Dat Kingdom Key, though." Thank you for your donation. $200 from Wazian saying, "Loving the late night crew destroying some Kingdom Hearts and actually doing a great job with some of Disney's finest songs. You folks make gamers around the world proud. Donating for more of my beloved Ocarina of Time, because that's always a good thing." $600 from Gold Phoenix. "Greetings from the best member of the Kingdom Hearts community. I couldn't make it to AGDQ this year, but I have a special question for Mr. Bloody Biscuit, sir. Excuse me, Mr. Bloody Biscuit, sir, but do you fight Sephiroth in this run?"
No.
Well, I'm glad we settled that. Put this towards naming Tifa. Toji sucks. $124.43 from Nimd1. Hello, this is Nimd1 donating 1,000 Swedish kroner for killing the animals. Everyone is trying to come up with something catchy to say about this, but I just hate animals. That's all. And that's all you need.
And with that, Blue Eyes White Dragon has been slain. The only thing to really note about that fight also is it actually is pretty easy to die in that fight. You take massive damage and you can't heal. It's kind of like the light cycle phase of Space Paranoids. But with that, there are 2 fights left, Armored Xemnas 2 and Final Xemnas. Do we have anything we want to say about Armored Xemnas 2?
He's very HP barrier based. He will knock you away after you hit each HP barrier. There's nothing we can do about that, but we have to be very careful about how we combo him, what he's going to have to react to if he retaliates or not, and throw out a reflect like that to make sure he doesn't get hit. And then when he gets knocked out, we're going to try to go for the most optimal building to get back to him.
The nice thing is the attacks Armored Xemnas 2 does aren't really random. They follow a set pattern. And also the buildings that you have to go to follow a pattern as well. So this fight is pretty consistent.
I'm going to go for the consistent strat here, since trying out new strats didn't really work out that well last time.
Yeah, also you saw Bloody do some aerial dodges right there, right after coming out of the building RC. That actually lets him avoid the snowflake attack that Xemnas can use, and instead be able to just drop right down and continue attacking him, being perfectly safe. That snowflake attack you can use as you're on your way back.
Not gonna go for it. There is a crazy fast building that you can go for, but most of the time it gets knocked away because the building is just at your altitude.
Yeah.
It probably requires a little bit more working around with, but it's just not gonna go for it here.
The buildings are a one-shot if they hit you too,
Oh, yeah.
so we do have to avoid them.
There's also kind of a little interesting trick that can be done in this fight. When you're really far away, you can actually use an ability called Magic Lock On, and use, I believe, a Thunder to hit Armored Xemnas and then immediately lock on and use a Trinity, and that will get you to him instantly. But it's actually not worth it for the time it would take, and the abilities you would have to unequip, I believe, in critical mode.
So now we have Final Xemnas, and he's going to open with a grab move, but we can skip the grab animation and go right into the reversals, and so we're basically going to be timing reversals with Reflect to get damage on Xemnas during this whole segment.
Perfect.
So now he's going to use Session to set up for the next use of Limit Form and get him close to the next HP barrier before he goes into his laser phase.
Okay.
BB has to be very careful about not pushing him outside of the boundaries.
Okay.
You can see on the outer parts of the wall. You can push him out there and you can't follow him there.
Depending how that combo goes during Limit Form will depend on whether or not he does lasers or grabs you again, so it's one or the other he does. This is a lot safer to deal with. It's just a little slower than the grab move.
There we go.
Okay.
So
No, well,
we're not quite out
yeah,
of the
I have
woods.
to mash.
Basically, Bloody needs to be mashing.
If you look at Riku's health, he's about to die. If I let up on the mashing, then he'll probably die, and I'd have to restart the whole fight.
Yeah, triangle and circle both need to be mashed as quickly as possible here in order to make sure that none of the lasers hit either character.
Yeah, unfortunately if Riku dies, the fight does end, so it is a bit scary when he's one hit away from death here.
Time is coming up here.
Yeah, time is coming
time in
up.
about a minute and a half.
Now, how are you ending the fight?
A minute now.
Minute, yeah.
Are you using?
Can you put this in the PS2?
Yeah, we're gonna have to get ready for Dead Orb.
Yeah.
Okay, so time will be right when Bloody actually uses Thunder on Final Xemnas. I'm sure he'll call it as well, but
It'll be white completely, and then it'll fade from white, and then time will be right around there.
beep.
Yeah, there are beeps to some sound effects in this game. I'm surprised we just heard probably.
That's the first one,
Yeah.
Quick shout outs to everybody that supported us, like getting all of these people here in the first place, and for having us, have the honor of giving this fantastic run.
I know we had about 25 people back at home.
Right about now.
And
Time. Very good.
That's really good.
Very good.
That's an awesome
47?
time.
Yes, he
beat
said
both of
47.
our
That's
PBs.
beat both of our PPs, man. That's amazing. Holy crap. That's amazing.
I feel bad for choking at the very end.
Oh,
on
no.
Xemnas.
Can we please point out that one death is ridiculous, especially when the last third of this run is just, a very long boss rush for the most part.
All right,
and
so
having one death throughout that entire thing is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, we had like 6 deaths, I think, in practice or more.
Yeah.
yeah, this was a fantastic run. We don't, well, I mean, we do have some time, but we would like to get straight to data.org, so if you could just press the power button real quick. All right, so we're going to be setting up an RTA that you guys donated for.
Oh,
It's
wait,
basically,
that might be
as
fine,
people
then.
have
I don't
been
know.
explaining, a boss rush of 13 super bosses on the highest difficulty.
Yeah,
I hope you guys are ready to see some bosses get destroyed, because if you thought these strats were crazy, you have not seen anything yet.
Yeah, anybody who thought that was pretty cool was
Yeah.
about to realize what cool is.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so this is going to be run by both
Yeah,
of
your
us.
mic
Mm-hmm.
is,
We're going to be swapping fights, basically.